Fucking Kevin Holland. Happy Monday, degenerates. Welcome on back to the Die Hard MMA podcast. This week, we're talking UFC Abu Dhabi, and we are coming off of just the absolute largest ass kicking I have ever taken to date. And UFC fighter and Bellator champion Ryan Bader has personally thrown me around the grappling mat before. I have never taken a larger L in my life than the one I took at UFC 318. The anchor parlay system, I've warned everybody about how dangerous it is. It blew up in our face once before on Benoit Saint-Denis, and it blew up in her face again on Saturday, unfortunately. Took a gigantic bath this past week. But you know what? The one thing, the one shiny little off in the distance, we can have just a little glimmer of hope. The one bet that I actually won at UFC 318 was a live bet on Vinicius Lockdog, who is what? A bantamweight. That's right. I'm still the bantamweight king. No matter how bad I am at betting anything else on planet Earth right now, I am still bantamweight king. I hope everybody is doing extremely well, and I hope my friend Ethan Hershey is in the chat. I haven't checked. I've already got over 150 of you here hanging out live. So, Ethan, my friend, time to pay up. So, not last week, the week before, Ethan made a bet with me, and I owe him a shot. I promised him that because I was late, because I actually ran out of Fireball in the freezer, that I would do a second shot to make up for it. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. It is a drunk stream, apparently, for UFC Abu Dhabi. And on top of that, got to shout out the wife. She had me my commemorative Die Hard MMA shot glasses made. So cheers, Ethan, my friend. And this one is just because I owe you for being late. And cheers to everybody in the chat. So we will take it from there and just see what happens. Because frankly, the way I have been gambling and losing, it might just be time to be degenerate tonight. It might be time to drink on an empty stomach, right? I actually, usually, I'm so big, it normally takes me, 6 to 8 shots, somewhere in that vicinity to really get going, which, by the way, is why I drank the Fireball. If I drink anything else, I get so much liquid in my body without getting to the point of being drunk that I just feel gross. So I do shots to get it quick, to get the buzz going. But man, when you're on an empty stomach, it doesn't take many, let me tell you. So you guys could be in for a bit of a long one tonight. Welcome into the chat, everybody. I am all the way far enough behind at this point. It's going to be tough to go on back and get to everybody. So I know all the usual suspects are here. Dix Insider, Joe Free, COD, The It Factor, George Ray Pro. We've got Rance Joseph in the house. I see my boy Pepe, Brandon on X. What's going on? Hope everybody is doing well. And I'm going to try to do my very best to keep up with you guys. Annoyed's good word. What's up? Because those of you who jumped in at the very beginning, we're too far in. I'm not going to be able to scroll back and catch up with 200 live people chatting here. Kurz, what is going on? Jeff with the question, do I have a day job? And the answer to that, yes, Jeff, I do have a day job. And that's something I've always tried to like preach and tell people. I've never said I'm a professional gambler. I've never pretended to be the best or a professional or anything of that nature. I'm a professional degenerate. I put food on the table. I feed my family first, and then expendable income, maybe a little bit more than I should be spending, but it's fun money, right? Like I'm not dipping into my daughter's savings account to keep the gambling going. So make sure you can never, you don't spend more than you can afford when it comes to this gambling thing. Does it hurt? Yes. Have I taken some big L's and lost too much money, especially the last couple of years? Yes, absolutely. But you all need to understand that I've got a day job, side hustle, and side hustle. So don't you worry. The family is being fed and well taken care of. Don't sweat that one bit. Let's just get freaking into it. Let's get into it. GB. So here's the thing. I answer this question about once every, 4 months or so, asking me for the bet slips. The simple fact is, I don't give a fuck. Couldn't care less. Don't even care one little bit. The only people out here asking for slips are shit-eating bastards who just want to dunk on people when they're down. None of you people asking for slips are like fans or supporters or anything like that. So first and foremost, I owe you absolutely nothing. Secondly, when I started the podcast, the reason I wasn't showing slips in the first place is because I was betting well, I don't want to say the bad word, but it wasn't approved in Arizona yet. So I wasn't going to go out there advertising, right? What I was doing when I wasn't supposed to be doing it. And then secondly, I think that especially when I got started, now this is like the real answer here is when I got started. I didn't want anybody to conflate what was going on based on the amount of money that I was gambling. Because you get people out there that are hedge fund, babies, trust fund babies that have more money than they know what to do with straight out the gate. Or people like shout out Slaughter from Pub Sports Radio. Like the man's a business owner, so he throws cash around when he gambles. Like just because you have a lot of money doesn't mean you're a good gambler. Just because you can afford to bet a lot doesn't mean people should listen to you. And the same is true on the opposite side of the trajectory. There are really sharp people out there that just don't have a big tolerance for risk. So people that'll bet 10 and 20 bucks a fight, those people shouldn't be ignored just because they don't have a lot of money to bet. So my whole thing was anonymity. I'm going to stay in the middle. Like the truth is somewhere in between. But I don't want people either buying into what I'm saying or looking down on what I'm saying simply because the number that I was risking wasn't something that they felt was worthwhile or they felt like I was a bigger fish or whatever. You know what I mean? Like I didn't want that perception to cloud people whatsoever. I just wanted people to listen to and enjoy the show. So that's the reason that I never posted slips. And frankly, why start now? Like that's always been my policy. It's been that way since the beginning. And those of you who follow me on social media, I have posted some slips before. I mean, granted, they're few and far between, right? But I have posted slips before. So all the people that want to get out there and joke, or not joke, but like accuse me of like not actually gambling and stuff like that, you guys don't know a fucking thing. Like you're just going based off of like wanting to dunk on people and rumors and spreading bullshit to like get under people's skin. And I just laugh. I literally laugh at you guys every time you do it because you don't know a fucking thing about me or my personal life or the way that I carry myself and stuff like that. So definitely going to just keep blowing you guys off. You guys get nothing from me. Only the supporters do. At any rate, the supporters are the ones who we're going to let hang out. Yeah, Andy, exactly right there. Don't you let Uncle Sam see those slips. That's another very, very good reason. Let's get into it though, you guys. We got a full card to break down, and I'm ready to talk some fights. I brought in the big guns this week, you guys, and I say that almost every week. Why? Because I have the absolute best guest list in the MMA game out here, right? So I'm always going to bring in somebody who's smarter than me. I'm always going to bring in somebody who's a far better gambler than me, and somebody who is riding hot right now, white hot, fire. The man is lava. None other than Mr. Electrocute Art. My man, what's going on? How you doing today?
Thanks for having me, Clint. I appreciate it. I'm on absolute fire, man. I cannot be stopped week after week. We're just absolutely crushing it. So we're gonna get you back in the win column. Trust me, we'll go through it and we'll turn it right around for you. Not a problem.
Love to hear it. And that's couldn't be happier with you coming on the show. It's always fun when it works out. If I schedule somebody out, a week or so in advance, you never know what's going to be going on. But I saw the kind of stuff that you were doing and I was like, man, I gotta strike while the iron's hot. Gotta get my boy Art on the show. So we're this side of the camera doing terrible. That side of the camera riding hot. You guys can have some fun figuring out what you want to do as we bring the information to you here on the show. Do us a favor, hit the like button, get subscribed if you guys haven't. Of course, if you don't know Art, you should know Art. You should be following this man. He knows the tricks of the trade. He's very savvy with the way he does things, and he's one of the best gamblers I've seen, especially on Twitter today. He puts out a lot of information as well, so make sure you're giving him a follow. Let's get into it, though, man. We're headed out to Abu Dhabi. First thing you guys need to remember is this is the card. This is the part of the world where you gotta be careful. We know MMA is sketchy as shit. Stuff that shouldn't happen does happen, but when it comes to like the judging, the hometown cooking, it always seems like Abu Dhabi is the place where it gets out of hand. So just remember that as we go through this card, everybody. First fight of the night, we've got Martin Buday taking on UFC newcomer Marcus Buchecha. 15-2. Martin Buday has a lot of experience at this point in his career. He is 33 years old. He's currently on a 4-fight win streak. You know, the last loss he took that was bad was like the big Shamil Gaziev fight. I apologize. I misspoke. He had his 4-fight win streak snapped by Shamil Gaziev. And then he is now bounced back and is on a 2-fight win streak since. Buday is a guy that just kind of bullies people around the cage, man. He's kind of a big physical presence and doesn't really do a lot, but will push you up against the fence. His best weapon are like the clinch knees that he throws at people's bodies, but man, he seems to be in close fights sometimes. Like, it just seems like he doesn't have much to extend himself if he's not able to just kind of physically drag you around the cage and hurt you to the body. If you can withstand that knee, he can be in a little bit of trouble. He manages to skate by sometimes. The Lukas Brzeski decision, that one always lives rent-free in my head where I'm like, I cashed a parlay that night on Buday, and I should not have. He absolutely should have lost that fight. He does have a 100% takedown defense rating. However, some context, that's on exactly 4 attempts, you guys. Martin Buday has defended 4 takedowns at the UFC level. 2 of them came in his last fight against Uran. 1 of them came against ancient Andrei Arlovsky, and 1 of them came against Jake Collier, who is a 185-pounder pretending to be a heavyweight. So that 100% rating, it's there. We have to admit to it, but I think it's a little fraudulent if he fights somebody who's even interested in takedowns at the mid-tier of the heavyweight division. I don't think that's going to last. His opponent may be the one to test this. Marcus is 35 years old, so he's a little old being a prospect to get to the UFC. However, he's got an absolutely massive grappling edge, man. This guy's a career-long jiu-jitsu player. He made his jiu-jitsu debut back in 2009. His first professional jiu-jitsu match was actually black belt Antonio Carlos Jr. Like, you guys know him from the UFC. He's over in PFL tearing people up right now. Very solid grappler, very physical human being. That's the guy he started against. You know, some notables. He's grappled with Rodolfo Vieira. He's fought Gabriel Roca twice. Most recently, Gordon Ryan, the guy who's kind of leading the BJJ world. Like, this Buchecha dude is absolutely legit, okay? He's big. He's bulky. He's got a huge back on him. So, you know, he's just physically strong. He mixes in like, trips and dumps when he's in on deep single and double legs. Very high level grappler from top position, man. It's all shoulder pressure. It's all grinding. It's that boa constrictor style where he just smothers you and doesn't give you room to breathe. His ground and pound actually is something that I noticed was pretty on top of it too. So if he can get on top of people one way or the other, like, this guy is violent from that top position. He's going to enjoy a 3-inch reach advantage here over Martin Buday. And man, I think we got to go with the hot new toy here, in my opinion. The guy is closing in on being a 3-1 favorite at this point, but I think that's the side. I think Martin Buday is going to struggle with the pressure of this guy. I think Martin Buday is going to find himself being the one bullied around that cage. And then we talk about the grappling. There's levels. Martin Buday on top of people can grab, a Kimura, kind of those big bully type of submissions, but not against this guy. And I feel like if Marcus gets Martin Buday on the ground, it's just a matter of time. So early favored or pass spot for me, and I think Marcus inside the distance is probably the way to go.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think, he's coming into the UFC. You sort of have to make assumptions here. We're gonna, we know what we get with Buday. His sort of best quality is just he's big. And he pushes people up against the fence and he holds them there. He doesn't even really take them down. He just holds them, grinds on them, sort of thing. And so, he's coming up against this world BJJ champion. He's in the Hall of Fame of BJJ. Like, he's levels above Martin Buday here. So we're going to make the assumption that If it does get to the ground, I think Marcus is going to absolutely destroy him when it gets there. So now we have to ask the question, can he get it there? Right. And, I'm a big numbers guy. I'm a big stats guy. I have all the stats in the world. You look up at the stats, Martin Buday, 100% takedown defense. Whoa, interesting. But you put into context, let's see where those takedown defense is coming from. Right. And like you said, he's only seen 4 takedowns attempts against. One of them was round 3. Jake Collie. Jake Collie was rocked. He shot in for a takedown, immediately got reversed. No actual takedown there, right? Andre Arlovsky is an actual striker. He had him in the clinch, and then he just barely touched the leg, and I think they counted it as a takedown attempt. Wasn't going to get there. And then that last fight, Ron Sorobekov, in the third round, he rocks Buday, and then Buday just literally pushes him against the fence. Now in that fight, remember, Buday had like 60 pounds advantage there, and it's just almost impossible to take this guy down as a light heavyweight, right? So on paper, yeah, it's 100% takedown defense, but Martin Buday doesn't scream the most athletic type of guy. You don't see him sprawling, big hips, things like that. I think it's just a matter of time before Marcus gets this fight down to the ground, and once it's there, it's sort of, it's either one takedown and it's the round, or it could be the absolute fight, right? So even if, so you go back and watch like Marcus Buchecha's, right? And I try to see, okay, is there a fight where he really struggled to get the takedown, right? And there was one. He was a minus 325 favorite against Umar Kane. Umar Kane, big guy, big, strong guy, heavy hips. He got him down once or twice, but he popped back up. But that one going to decision. Buchecha is not like a fish out of water on the feet either. He was throwing wild punches back. He went a full 3 rounds after trying multiple takedowns and trying to get it there. So even though he lost in that fight, because he's coming from the BJJ side over to the MMA side, actually looked pretty impressive to like stand there, try to trade with somebody big. He's actually going and shooting the takedown, doesn't get the takedown, and then pulls guard. So that's another thing. If he can't get the takedown on Buday, it would not surprise me if he just grabs a single leg, drags him down to the ground, pulls guard, and then works in his sweeps and his attacks from the bottom. Like you said, his ground and pound's great. So if he can get that sweep on top, I think it's over here. So, again, Martin Buday is really nothing special to write home about. So, how does Martin Buday win? It's his same sort of style, grinding you, pushing you up against the cage, working you, right? But that's not what you want to do against a grappler. Any kind of physical contact where you're in close in the clinch, it means trouble. Any kind of inside trips, outside trips, even body locks from the top. As soon as Martin Buday just falls down, and he looks like he's one of the types to like trip over shoelaces. So once he gets down to the ground, I think it's all going to be Buchecha all day. I took the money line already. I think it's a good price there. I think, in terms of props, if you want to look at sort of finish only, Martin Buday doesn't really have any finishing equity in this fight, I don't think, at all. His path to victory is pushing you on the cage, winning a close, grimy decision, but it's going to be hard in Abu Dhabi. So give me the favorite, like you said, favorite or pass, Marcus Buchecha to win by submission.
Okay, we're seeing things together early here, man. And you and I were talking about this backstage just a little bit before the show. I got to figure out what I'm doing as far as my betting style is concerned these days. I'm still trying to sort that out because what I'm doing clearly is not working. I know how to preview the fights. I know how to break down the fights. And frankly, I've got a lot of really solid understanding and calls as far as like what I say is going to happen. But when it comes to pulling the trigger, that's where I struggle. Like last week, I talked up Ryan Spann round 1. Plus money. Didn't bet it. Ryan Spann submission. Plus 225. Didn't bet it. Jimmy Crute round 1. Plus money. Jimmy Crute submission. Plus 150. Didn't bet either of those. You know what I mean? Like, so I know what I'm doing, but I don't know how to bet it. So I don't know what I'm betting yet this week, you guys. You'll have to bear with me. We're going to break all these things down, and I'm going to sit back and I'm going to take a long, hard look at what I want to do because I have legitimately a lot of people on social media are trying to talk me into fading myself. And I'm like, I'm actually tempted. Like I'm actually tempted to go, okay, what would I bet? List it over here and then do this instead and see what happens. I'm tempted to let you guys bet for me. I'm tempted to put surveys in these live streams and be like, you guys are picking where my money goes this week and see what happens. I don't know yet. We'll figure it out. But for now, the pick is going to be UFC newcomer Marcus. It is minus 290. I think he's a solid parlay piece. But of course, don't listen to me. Do what you guys want to do. And of course, listen to Art. Let's keep it rolling, man. Next fight up, we've got Mohammad Yahya taking on Stephen Nguyen. And what an absolute shit show this fight is, man. Mohammad Yahya, 12-5, 31 years old. He was the UAE Warriors champion, made his UFC debut, quite literally brought in to lose to Trevor Peake, it felt like, man. A guy who was kind of the local flavor just not that great. You know, I don't know how he got to be the UAE Warriors champion because he is not cutting it at the UFC level. And his second fight just got absolutely destroyed by Cali Fernandez. Beaten up, man. His legs got completely demolished in that fight. He had no answer for the leg kick. So it's like, this dude can't defend takedowns. This guy can't brawl. This guy doesn't know how to defend leg kicks. Like, what is he really good at? I mean, he's aggressive. When he's able to physically bully people, when he's got the power advantage, when he hurts you, like, he can just kind of bully people around the cage. But there's a stark levels difference between him and everybody in the UFC so far. Apparently, he stands very tall. He's very stiff, walks his way forward, and he just wants to car crash with people. 42% takedown defense. Peak landed 4 takedowns on this man. If Trevor Peak is grappling you to victory, that there's probably a problem with that. Stephen Nguyen, 9-2, 32 years old. This guy is a 3 times Dana White's Contender Series competitor. Now, you guys know I'm already putting 2 times Dana White's Contender Series competitors under a microscope. I'm like, I think you're just complete frauds. Took you 2 chances on Dana White's. I want nothing to do with you. This guy went 3 times. 3 times. He got KO'd by Alon Cruz in his first Dana White's Contender Series opportunity, who went 0-2 in the UFC and got cut immediately. Then he went to decision with a scrub and got a mercy stoppage over AJ Cunningham, the dog food guy, the guy who's got just the horrific backstory but can't buy a win to save his life because he's just not that good. The guy that I bet on a couple of months ago, that guy. It took him beating up AJ Cunningham and the referee mercilessly stopping that fight for him to actually do enough for Dana White to go, okay, we'll give him a shot. Guess what happened? Makes his UFC debut and immediately loses to Jarno freaking Aarons. Like, this guy is not good, man. Art, I do not believe in Steve Nguyen at all. He's got decent boxing. He's got decently fast hands. He's got a good jab, but it feels like he starts well and then falls apart. Like, if you know what you're doing, this guy will get figured out. You'll be able to discover what he's doing, find his timing, find his pattern, and he just doesn't seem to have a plan B. He was actually using calf kicks to decent effect against Jarno Aarons, and that's kind of the thing I looked at that was like, man, the blueprint's kind of right there. Like, Yahya can't defend calf kicks. But what happened in the Jarno fight was Jarno actually turned the tables on this guy. Jarno started beating his legs up, and it was like, oh, shit, like, you found something that was working. The dude hit you with the Uno reverse card and started beating you up with it instead. And then he ends up losing that fight. There's like, I don't even know that we can count on him to go to that well. And if he does go to the well, I don't know if he's better. Like, I just don't think Steve Nguyen is good at all. The problem is this is a fading shit with shit type of situation, right? Like, for me, it's never Steve Nguyen. And when I talked about Kennedy Nzechukwu at heavyweight, I said never Kennedy at chalk at heavyweight. Didn't talk myself into betting on Walter Walker. It was right there, man. I was that close. Couldn't do it. I am tempted to pull the trigger on Muhammad Yahya, not because he's any good, but because I think Steve Nguyen is so bad. Steve Nguyen is minus 320, you guys. That's disgusting. Muhammad Yahya plus 270. Gosh, dang it, dude. Like, this is my problem right here, Art. This is my problem, is I see this kind of a spot and I go, I know I shouldn't. I know I shouldn't. But it's got to be anything but Steve Nguyen here. Talk to me, Art. What are you seeing in this fight? What do you like about this one?
Okay, well, guys, I'll let you into sort of my process and how I get there and how I break down fights and stuff. And this is a prime example. And you talked about it. There are levels to this, right? So what I do is I pick a fighter. I start with their tape. I go back and watch 4 or 5 last fights. I try to get an understanding of what they want to do, how they do it, if they're actually good at it, what's the game plan, is it opponent specific, or is they just fighting their fight sort of thing, right? So I start with Stephen Nguyen. Like you said, he goes on Dana White Contender Series 3 times. He fights Alon Cruz. Cruz probably picks him apart at range. He eats a flying knee, a clean head kick. He has a granite chin. He's eating some of these big shots. And then in round 3, the nastiest flying knee puts him out cold. So I'm like, why do they want him back? So they call him back to Dana White Contender Series. Oh, he has a 30-second knockout before that against Juarez, which he can't get much out of a 30-second knockout. They call him back to Contender Series, and he fights this Theo Ralang guy. He's not very good at all, and he wins, but he wins by decision, not very convincing. Like you said, good boxing, good footwork, granite chin, good volume sort of thing, but the other guy's not very good, and he couldn't capitalize on it. He couldn't find the finish. He couldn't look really impressive. He just doesn't have a ton of power in his hands to put away guys, right? So he wins, but doesn't get a contract, and they say, yeah, okay, we'll bring you back, and I think it's the gym that he trains at. Everybody's talking big stuff about him. So they
Yep.
bring him back again for the third time, right? He fights AJ Cunningham. Finally finds a win there. He gets actually rocked. He rocks Cunningham at the end of the first, saved by the bell, and then he finishes him round 2. And then finally you beat 3 guys on Contender Series, which are pretty much regional guys. Then you take an actual step up and you fight a UFC level guy and Jaron Aarons, and that wasn't close at all, right? And he just showed you, he's better than the regional guys, but he's really lower than some of these UFC guys. So not really UFC type caliber, right? So I get an idea in his mind. He's a boxer. He can push a pace. If he gets the right matchup, he might be okay. And then I go over to the Mohammad Yahya side, and it's even worse, right? Like it's nothing impressive at all. He's beating a lot of these like no names, but he can't, he's bringing them to decision. He takes, he, like you said, a warm body against Trevor Peek. The only thing I will say about the Trevor Peek fight, Trevor Peek is normally like just a car crash. He just all out blitzing. For some reason, he did take a different approach where he, like you said, he chose to grapple, whereas he normally just comes out and throws bombs. I don't know if that was opponent based or he felt the power, but even the commentary sort of talks about, he's giving him some respect. He's not really crashing in there. It's sort of not really what we know of Trevor Peek. So maybe there was something there. He went to decision with Trevor Peek. So that's a something, I guess, but he destroyed him. Trevor Peek, I think 30-27 to him. And then, like you said, he went against Fernandez. Fernandez went to low kick pretty early and then was pretty much limping by the end of round 1. He got knocked out there, right? So really nothing special to write home about either guys. And then I tape it and I try to set my own lines. I say, yeah, Wynn's not that great, but the other guy's not that great. I had Wynn about minus 150-ish, and I'll take a look at the odds. Minus 320. I'm like, I can't play this guy, right? So, like you said, it's sort of dog or pass, but I'm okay. You don't have to bet every fight, Clint. That's the only thing I would say. Like, if you have these dogs look interesting, you might want to attack it live. You don't have to force the play. You could wait and just see how they play out a little bit. I expect Wynn to be a lot faster on the feet, work the volume, work the boxing. This granted chin keeps him in the fight, and his volume probably wins decisions. He did talk about watching a lot of tape and being a student of the game. So it's going to be orthodox versus orthodox. Wynn does like the outside low kick, so I can see him looking at tape from his previous fight, seeing that the low kicks was pretty effective and going to the low kicks early and often. So I could see him finishing because of leg kicks, or at least slowing him down maybe into the later rounds. But again, both guys don't really have much power. Both guys seem to be somewhat durable. I think it's going to decision, but my prediction is Steven Wynn by decision, but I'm probably gonna pass this fight. Maybe live bet if I get some more information, see how each fighter looks. But yeah, I guess you're right. You don't need to force it, but it's going to be dog or pass, but I'm passing.
Okay, fair enough. Man, I think this one, I feel like they're trying to get the hometown guy a bit of a win. Like, if they could
and they got the Steven win.
Exactly, more like Steven lose. If they could rob this guy, they will. He doesn't matter anything, right? 3 times Dana White's Contender Series competitor, obviously a gym guy, someone people want to like talk up and get behind, but he's not for this level. He lost his UFC debut against a guy people had already written off. Like, I don't think the UFC is gonna at all care if this guy loses. And again, like I said, I know this is wrong show, guys, but switching hats here, this is absolutely the kind of guy that the UFC will be like, hey, go ahead. No one's getting punished. No one's getting brought up against the under the review board if Steven Wynn loses a split decision here to Yahya. I think what I want to do, man, is look at the spread. Whenever that drops, DraftKings has like the plus 3.5. That was something that, I'll be honest, last week I thought about chasing, you guys. I thought about chasing hard because one of the best reads I had on the entire card that, of course, naturally, I didn't put my money on was Paulo Costa. I talked about Paulo Costa. I talked about Paulo Costa by decision. And I went, why am I not betting the spread? Like, even if I don't think Paulo is going to win this fight, he wins one round, and I don't think he gets finished. So, like, the plus 3.5, I think it was like minus 130. It was like staring me in the face. And I was like, I could just like dump on this thing because that's hitting. It's one of those ones where in my soul, it's like Paulo may not win the decision, but he's covering the plus 3.5. And I swore I wasn't going to chase. I'm like, I'm not going to do myself any more damage tonight. I'm not chasing. And of course, Paulo wins the fight outright. Could have hit the plus 450 on the decision prop. Could have hit the plus 200 on the money line. Especially should have been on the plus 3.5 spread. So that's where, like, I think I need to look at those spreads a little bit more often, especially with these live underdogs in these sketchy situations, in these vicinities where there's going to be that judge that's probably going to pull out the automatic 30-27. So that's something I'm going to look at. I'm going to look for that plus 3.5 spread when it drops on DraftKings. Whether or not I get to the money line, we'll see. But I think I'm going to be looking at the spread.
Spread bets are hard, especially in Abu Dhabi, because you never know. There's always one, like Carlos Leal's fighting again, so you never know with the spread bets. But you do get all of the finishing upside, and then you get somewhat of a round, right? You get a free round. If 29-28, either way, you still win. So it is a good way of playing insurance, especially if they don't finish them and stuff, right? So, and the other
Yep.
thing I want to suggest is looking at those finish only lines, decision only type of lines. There are some fighters, like for example, in this case, and in that last fight, I don't see Mohammad Yahya finishing at all. The damage that Stephen Nguyen can take on the feet, he's not submitting him either. I think if he's going to win, it's probably going to be decision. So you could take that side decision only. If he gets his head chopped off or whatever, then you push, you get your money back. You could also take win finish only, so you can sort of even play both sides and say, I think Nguyen has a lot of finishing equity, but he can also win a decision. I sometimes can't pick between, is he going to win a decision, is he going to finish? Like Carly Judy's last week, like I was big on her. I just didn't know. I thought it could go to decision. I thought she could finish, one of those things. So you can't lay the money line, so you have to sort of pick. But if you pick the finish only, so you sort of get a free roll, and if you lose, you get your money back, or if you push, you get your money back. So take a look at those. Those might be a good option because you can see you're reading the fights right. You just you can call who's getting finished, who's not getting finished.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's a good advice. Good way to look at it. And like my guy Dream in the chat says, Michael Johnson plus 3.5 was plus 210. That's insane. Absolute insanity. Which, by the way, anybody that got on Michael Johnson, I have nothing but props. Like that one hit me like a ton of bricks, man. I could not believe how that fight looked. Zellhuber fraud check, big time. I mean, I know Michael Johnson's good, but like he looked terrible. He didn't bring anything except for a left high kick to that fight, which is just bad game planning, man. You can't trust somebody like that moving forward. Anyway, that's it. Tim in the chat says 46 units on Yahya. Oh God.
Only one way to get it back.
Exactly, right? Like there's my shot right there. You give me somebody at 3-1, I'll just put everything I got left on them. We'll mortgage the house. Let's go. Don't do that, guys. That's a joke. That is a joke. Next up, you got Aslan, and he's taking on Billy Elekana. Another really interesting fight from like a weirdness perspective, man. Aslan, 14-2, 29 years old, 2-1 so far in the UFC. Started off his career with a bang, man. Back-to-back wins over Anton Tarkali and Rafael Sequeira, who both are cut. We need the pleasure man back. Tarkali needs to stay in the UFC. I love that guy. No, he got busted up in that fight. Tarkali had this man's face swollen. His eye was almost closed shut. Like, I'm getting major fraud vibes from Aslan, man. I do not know that this guy is all he's cracked up to be. He's a monster. He's heavily muscled. He's got heavy hands, but he got his first real fight in the UFC and got subbed in round 1, got absolutely smoked by Ion Cutelaba. This dude's got a 100% KO to victory ratio. Like, if he's not knocking you out so far, he's not winning the fight. So he's going to be fun. He's going to be fun, but I'm not sure he's going to go very far. UFC, doing what the UFC does. Billy Elekana, 7-2, 30 years old, makes his UFC debut on short notice against Bogdan Guskov. When I broke that fight down, we talked about how this guy's kind of like a tweener. He's a natural 185er, but he struggles on the scales. He can't quite get down enough in the weight to actually be able to fight at 185 pounds. He's 30 years old. He's in his prime, so it's not like he's a young kid. So he moves up to 205. Well, at 205, he's skinny. At 205, he's not that strong. He's just not that big. He's very green, and it seems like he's still figuring it out. That's a bad age to still be figuring it out when we're talking about cage fighting. He had the UFC jitters that look like, man, seems almost like he had a bit of an adrenaline dump. Looked pretty good in round 1. He took down Bogdan Guskov. He went to his back really quickly. He lost the scramble and ended up on bottom to end that first round. And then in round 2, he had nothing. Complete death gas. No cardio, no nothing, no volume. Like, he was on life support from the opening bell of round 2. And Bogdan Guskov got in there. We'll talk about him a little bit later. And just started absolutely hammering this poor guy. He went down, like, sat down in the corner, like covering his head up. Like, he was just donezo. Bogdan grabs his neck and puts him out of his misery. I like the way he level changes. I like the way that he scrambles. Like, there's flashes of brilliance with Billy Elekana. But I think he's a 185er, Art. I really feel like he is too small at 205 pounds in the UFC. But Aslan is another never minus 200 guy for me. Minus 265 on Abu Aslan. Billy Elekana plus 215. Frankly, I would be tempted to look at an over on this one, man. We got a 1.5 and it's pick'em. I might bet on the fact that I think Billy can take a beating for a minute and a half or a round and a half. Like, I kind of feel like, he on short notice was able to survive against a guy like Bogdan Guskov. Maybe on a full camp, he can survive against a guy like Abu Aslan, who I just don't think is all that great. Who knows? Maybe Ibo's getting better. This is probably a stay away. I got to pick Abu Aslan to win, man. But again, I'm not laying minus 265 on this dude. I just can't bring myself to do it.
Yeah, I get everything that you're saying, and I see it too. Like Abu Aslan, one of those guys, just like seems like a gym guy, just all power, right? No real technique. He'll sit there for a little bit, and then once he feels like he got you rocked or hurt a little bit, and you're backing up, then he just unloads and he sort of wails on you, right? Keeps his head way up in the air. He's throwing big punches, kind of like 50-50 whether or not you go down or not. Like it's who's gonna land first sort of thing. But he tends to land first. He has some good power. I guess he can eat a decent shot, right? But again, the level of competition that he's beating up is not the highest level, right? And so then he fights Ian Kutalaba in that last fight. He landed a couple of big shots on Kutalaba. Kutalaba, Greco-Roman wrestler himself, right? So the biggest thing for me is that because Ian's really loading up. Ibo's really loading up. He's loading up on these big shots. He's throwing these overhands, right? It's very easy to level change and get underneath him, right? Kutalaba actually level changed 3 times on him, got him down, and just timed it, right? Like he's just sitting down all his punches. He's not moving his feet. The takedowns come very easy. And then we saw once Kutalaba got him down, he got into mount. Ibo had nothing off of his back and couldn't get up, couldn't move or anything, right? And Kutalaba finds the arm triangle choke sort of right away once he got to mount there. So there's sort of a clear path to victory, clear weakness here on the Abu Aslan side, right? Like you said, he could come out right away and start, find the knockout right away, and you're fine. Sort of like the Gauthier fight from last week, right? He just comes a big, strong guy, hits with big power. If he touches you, you go out. But there's always a weakness, right? And on the Elekana side, I go back and watched it. You talked about in the Guskov fight. He did come in on short notice on that fight, and I want to say it was like a week or so. It was like a late replacement. I think I had Guskov big money on whoever the replacement was, and I had to
it was 5 days. It was like less than a week.
He was like a warm body on the sidelines, and he was like, "Yeah, I can come in. I'm ready," sort of thing. And he looked impressive, right? Same thing, level change. He got in, he got to the back, got the hooks in right away, right? And that's I rate Bogdan Guskov a lot higher than Aslan. He was still able to get the back. If he doesn't gas, that fight looks completely different, right? But he gasses and gets finished. I think I had Guskov by KO, and I think I had a lot on it, and it was so frustrating because he had him. He's like covering up. He's like, "Oh, don't do it." The referee's just watching him, and he's like, "Okay, fine. Let me grab the neck," and he subs him. With like, there's no hint of a sub whatsoever. It was just getting put out there, and he's like, finally grabbed the neck, and he's insta tap to a guillotine. But in this fight here, the things that I see with Billy Elekana, he can make it interesting because he's not willing to sit in the pocket with Ibo and just trade bombs, right? He's more of a technical striker outside. He keeps range, so he'll stand in kicking range. When Ibo comes forward, he will move backwards. When he moves backwards, he's always keeping that mid range, and he's jumping in, he's darting in, throwing a couple of punches and moving out, or he's level changing and getting the takedown, right? So I go deep into the regional tapes. He can get that takedown. He's not really a wrestler by trade, but he does work it in, and he does have that upside to do so. I think that, like you said, the over 1.5 was interesting. I saw it plus money early. I thought I could maybe wait and get fight starts round 2 instead at a decent amount, but I don't know if those props have opened yet, but that was what I was looking at instead of the over 1.5. Like you said, I think that Elekana can make it interesting. If he can push the fight into the later rounds, into rounds 2 and 3, make Ibo work and sort of gas out, lose some of the power in the shots, it becomes a very interesting fight. So it's a good live bet spot. If you don't want to take Elekana pre-fight, you don't have to. You can wait until see if he just get smoked, and then you're okay. But after round 1, the fight becomes very competitive. The takedowns probably become a little bit easier. Elekana could point his way to a decision or finish late. I'm thinking Billy Elekana is live for the upset. I'm not there yet in terms of a bet. I might bet totals or some kind of sneaky prop, but in terms of a money line, I don't think you can bet Ibo at this price. He's just not impressive enough to me. And I think that we're getting a good buy low spot in Elekana coming in on short nose, looking pretty bad. I don't think his cardio is that bad. It's just coming off the couch 5 days, you're going to slow down. So yeah,
He couldn't
give me dog a pass.
I love it. I love it, man. It's not going to take much to convince me here. It really looks so bad for him because of the way his last fight was, and because of the fact that he got fell off a cliff. He got beaten up to start round 2 the way that he did. Like, it looks so terrible. But the fact is, like, there's no way he's that bad. Like, don't get me wrong, he could still lose to this guy. He could still get iced. Aslan still has huge power. He could get knocked out, but he's better than he showed. And if he can keep what he did in round 1 going for a little bit longer on a full camp, yeah, like Billy is super live here in this spot. So I'm with you. I think I'm going to take the live bet approach here, though, Art. I think I want to see that he's not going to die in round 1. And then if I get through 3-4 minutes, kind of like what I did with Lock Dog. I was like, I really feel like some really smart people, guys who I really respect, were super sold on Kyle, the Matrix, right? Like, I didn't want to go head to head with those people, especially with the year I'm having. But I was like, I really think this is like a don't overthink it Lock Dog type of spot. But I waited until 3-4 minutes passed. Okay, he didn't get iced in the first round. Jump in live, number slightly worse, but it's okay. It paid off, right? I think that's the approach I'm going to take here with this Billy Elekana kid, because frankly, if I get even money after round 1, but we can see that Ibo Aslan's getting touched up, we can see that Ibo Aslan's power didn't get it done. Like, Billy's able to take it. He can hit the ground game. Like, it's all working out. I'd rather cash a ticket at -110 than lose the flyer at +220. You know what I mean? Like, I want to see that he's gonna be alive at the end of the first round before I jump in, I think.
Yeah, I'm a big live bettor. I make a lot of good reads live betting as well, and you can smash some of those lines, especially if you know what to look for, right? So in this fight, I actually think that the Elekana live line will actually get better after round 1. I think that he might struggle a little bit, especially with the size, like you said, and the power, even struggling with some takedowns here, and he was going to look the more damaging shots. I think he might be able to get him +400, +500 after round 1 if he loses round 1, right? You might
Yeah.
be able to see the momentum start to shift, him starting slow down. You can see him in the corner, get hunched over sort of thing. That's when I would jump in on Elekana, because I do think that he can take over as the fight goes on late. It's possible that Elekana gets the takedown early and grapples him and gets on top. Then you're looking at Pick'em after round 2, but that's just the name of the game. But you'd rather take Pick'em, like you said, and up around than pre-fight, right? So I'll take that all day if I can get Elekana up around after knowing that Aslan grappled for a round. I'll take that anytime.
For sure. Okay. Different approaches, both lean and dog or pass here, you guys. Do what you want to do. Do what you want to do. Take that shot in the dark. You love to see it. Good freaking luck. And I do just want to shout out my guy Dravi in the chat, you guys. We had Dravi on just a couple of weeks ago, one of the sharpest guys in the game and really one of the hottest backers in the game. I saw he had a bit of a rough event this past weekend, but I think that's true for most of us. Most of us had a rough event here at 318. So can't hold that against him. Can't keep a good man down. You'll be back, Dravi. Good to see you in the chat, buddy. Thanks for joining us. Oldie, what's up, buddy? Thanks for being here. And Sting, I already addressed this shit. Like, get the fuck out of here. You're the spam account, same guy that was here talking earlier, trying to look like you're agreeing with yourself, or if you are just another hater in the chat, go back to the 6-minute mark, man. I already talked about that shit. Get out of here. We've got Amanda Ribas taking on Baby Shark, Tabatha Ricci, coming up next. Woo, baby. All right. So 2 women with massive holes in their game that I've tried to take advantage of, right? Amanda Ribas, 12-6, 31 years old, skilled everywhere. Big, tall, long for the weight class, very well-rounded. I mean, honestly, kind of like a B-squad version of Rose Namajunas at this point. Like, she just does everything extremely well. Chinny. That's the one thing. Chinny. One of my favorite bets of all time was when I went to war with healthy Macy Barber via KO at 4-1, and she cracked that chin wide open in the 3rd round. Like, that was beautiful. One of my favorite reads I've ever made. I always have that little asterisk next to Ribas because of the fact that I can't trust her durability. Art, I don't think that'll be a problem this week. She's going up against Tabatha Ricci, one of the women who's got the pillow fisty. Man, she's got like memory foam mattresses on her hands. She doesn't even have pillow fists. Like, this girl couldn't hurt a fly. Tabatha Ricci, 11-3, 30 years old. One of my worst bets of all time against Yan Jianan. I really felt like I was being smart. I really felt like I was being sharp. I was like, Yan, a little bit older, a little long in the tooth, coming off of the title opportunity. Like, I think she'll, get put in a bad spot. The UFC's looking for Tabatha Ricci to get a dub here. So I took that shot, and it looked awful. She couldn't touch Yan. She was physically outmatched. She was outskilled. It was brutal, man. One of my worst ever. But the UFC loves Ricci. UFC loves her. I mean, she's that perfect, attractive, pretty good fighter. Like, of course, they're going to push her. And they love her relationship with Callum Walsh, right? Like, they're really trying to push Tabatha Ricci because of her whole situationship going on with Walsh right now. She's on every single broadcast. Every time they can show them in the crowd together, they go for it. Like, they're looking for power couple status here. She averages 2.74 takedowns per 15 minutes, and she hits at a 37% accuracy. So that's kind of her whole thing, is she just wants to get in on you. She wants to drag you to the floor. She wants to stay on top of you. She wants to out scramble you. Like, she ends up being a really boring fighter to watch because she's not going to do any damage. She's not going to hurt you. She's just looking to grind away the clock. So it's always Tabatha Ricci by decision if it's going to be anything. If there was anybody who she could crack and maybe get some respect here, it'd be a girl like Ribas that frankly has a bit of a power issue. And Ribas also is a jiu-jitsu player who wants to play off of her back. She will look for subs. She will be willing to accept bottom position. And you guys know that's something I look to abuse. If you've got a grappler or wrestler versus a jiu-jitsu player, the person on top is winning in the eyes of the judges. You can take advantage of that in these spots. But there's a huge level gap here as far as competition is concerned. Ribas has been running the gauntlet, man. She lost a split decision to Caitlin Chookagian, and I know Caitlin's older. She's not super exciting, but that girl knows how to win fights. So, like, being in a split decision with her, that's not really a black mark. Like, we talked about the Barber KO, but she was in that fight until she got knocked out. She lost to Rose by decision, who's just kind of a better version, a more experienced version of her. And then she got her arm snapped off by Mackenzie Dern. Okay, like, Dern is going to armbar a lot of people, right? And she's bigger, she's stronger, she's more physical. This one's rough, man. Like, part of me, again, I'm just gonna, Art, you and I talked about this backstage for a minute before the show. I keep zigging when I should be zagging, right? I bet on Tabatha Ricci. I bet on her against Yan Jianan. They're dangling plus money on me here again. The recency bias of that Yan Jianan fight has me going, this has got to be Ribas. But it's like, holy shit. Like, do you just sack up and go, the UFC is putting her in a good spot. The UFC is putting her against a fighter who can lose close fights. The UFC is putting her against somebody who will take bottom position and will grapple off her back. Do we double it down and back to Tabatha Ricci? I am just, the hairs on the back of my neck say baby shark, even though everything in my brain is telling me I should. This is the fate on myself spot, Art. This is where I'm going. I should be betting Amanda Ribas, and I should just go, you know what? I'm an idiot. Fuck that. I'm betting on Tabatha Ricci. That's what this feels like to me. Talk to me. I need your guidance. What are you doing here?
Man, it sounds
While
like
you're doing that, I'm gonna pour a shot.
you're on the right side, and then you're switching, and you're back and forth. You gotta go with your gut, man. You gotta go straight up. Like, what, if you see it, you see it, sort of thing. For me, I see this as a complete mirror match fight. You know that Spider-Man meme where they're like pointing at each other and stuff? This is that one, right? And if I said, Clint, one of these fighters was training judo at a young age by their father, brought up in judo, then started training some Muay Thai and some BJJ, and then got into the UFC. Who am I talking about? It's both of them. It's literally
Yes.
both of them. Yeah, they grew up. They have the same skill set. They do the same things. One has just fought different competition. Ribas is a lot taller and longer. So there's a couple of things and a couple of points that I want to make here that are very interesting in this fight. One, the grappling. You mentioned that Ribas can get stuck on bottom, and she's happy to play BJJ. That's correct, right? And the other thing I wanted to mention is that Tabatha Ricci, right? Who is she really fought in terms of grapplers, right? And who can really counter grapple? So I take a look at her takedown defense. She's only been taken down twice in her UFC career. One against Manon Fiorot in her UFC debut. Fiorot mostly a striker. She got her down, and then Ricci popped back up, no problem.
She's big though.
Yeah, she's very big, and then that was 5 years ago, 4 years ago, so nothing wrong with that. And then she got taken down by Jillian Robinson one time. Same thing, she popped back up, right? So I'm like, oh, pretty good takedown defense, pretty good get-ups game, right? But like, who is she actually fighting? Yan Xiaonan never attempted a takedown. Angela Hill is not a grappler. Tisha Torres is not a grappler. Lupita Godin is not a grappler. Jillian Robertson, we just saw her. Anybody can outstrike her. Jessica Penne.
Hey, careful with the Jillian Robertson disrespect.
She's not a grappler, But so the point I'm trying to make is that she hasn't really faced a high level grappler wrestler, and I'm not saying Ribas is, but Ribas does like the head and arm throw, and she wasn't afraid to take Mackenzie Dern down and sit in her guard, right? You don't really see that. Normally, when you're fighting Dern, you don't want anything to do with the ground. She had confidence enough to do the head and arm throw, and that's a high risk move where if you don't give it, you give up your back. You're literally giving Dern the fight. So she commits to these head and arm throw because she has this judo. She gets Dern down. She's willing to stay on top and in top time. So I actually think Ribas has some of the grappling upside where she can get the top time. She can work the range. I don't think anybody's submitting each other. So just put that out of the way. And then I actually don't even think that they might try to grapple. I don't think they proactively grapple. Ribas doesn't really look for it. It's just when you get in close, you're trying to clinch, and then she grabs you, and then she throws you, sort of thing. So I do think that the fight takes place on the feet mainly, right? And again, Ribas has a 5-inch reach advantage. There's a couple of things I want to highlight here. Is one, Ribas, her volume of significant strikes goes up as the fight goes on. So in round 1, she averages 14 significant strikes. Round 2, it goes up to 19. And round 3, it's 37 significant strikes landed in round number 3. But on the opposite side with Ricci, she actually allows more strikes as the round go on. Her defense becomes a little bit too porous. She's allowing 20 significant strikes in round 1, 28 in round 2, and 29 in round 3. So I kind of give Ribas the volume edge. Neither girl has any power, so I don't think that anybody's knocking each other out on the feet. But Ricci's been outstruck in almost every single, at least the last 4 fights. 7 out of the last 9 fights, she's been outstruck in terms of volume. Okay, and she has 3 losses in the UFC. Those 3 losses were fights where she couldn't control her opponent. We talked about how her opponents are not really grapplers, right? So she loses to Barriault. She can't get any actual control. 40 seconds total of control, ends up losing there. Lupi Godinez, same thing, where she gets only 3 seconds of control, ends up losing a decision there. Yan Shinang, 0 seconds of control, loses there. So if Ricci normally fights these non-grapplers, she has that ability to get her down and get the opponent down, work the range, win minutes on top. But in this fight, if she's not going to be able to get the takedowns because they're not as easy, or because, whatever it is, because it's sort of a mirror match, I think that Ribas sort of outpoints her on the feet, out volumes are on the feet. I think it's going to be close. The judges, you never know, especially with a chick fight that you think is going to go to the decision. But when you want fights to go to the decision, you're looking at bigger moments, you're looking at volume, who's wearing the damage. And I think, again, Ribas coming on late in the fight is going to look wonders in terms of the judges' eyes. So I think that Ribas is the side. I think it goes to decision. It's probably like minus 1,000 to go to decision. So I'm cautious on those fights when, the judges are involved and the judges are involved. But I think she's slightly better on the feet, more rangier. I think she has all the moments. Ricci doesn't have the grappling to fall back on if she can't work the striking. So I like the Ribas upside here.
Okay. All right. So here we go. Now I got a decision to make. I got a decision to make. Listening to my guy Art. Man, Ribas does have an 83% takedown defense rating. And like I said, she's fought some very top level competition. Rose Namajunas was only able to get 1 takedown on her on 3 attempts. Like that's extremely impressive. I've talked about Mackenzie Dern, man. I wish she would also shout out, Ben Askren. Obviously, hope the guy is recovering. He's always my example. I'm like, man, if Dern would just go train with Ben Askren, learn how to wrestle from Ben Askren, like she'd be a beast. She managed to get 1 takedown on Ribas in that fight as well. So depends on Tabatha Ricci and I guess what she's able to do. I've got the tinfoil cap on tight this week, you guys. We're in Abu Dhabi. If this fight is close, I think they're going to give it to Baby Shark. That's all I got to say. So maybe we look at another spread, man. Maybe when they drop that plus 3.5 again, if the number's wide enough that I can get a decent plus 3.5. I know with women's MMA, it's always chalked up because they expect it to go to decision. They expect it to be a close fight. It's never a great number. But with Tabatha being the underdog, if I can get an okay number on a plus 3.5, that's probably the way I'm looking here for this fight.
That's good look, right? But yeah, if you know Mackenzie Dern, tell her that I'll teach her some takedowns. So
it's true. It's true. You got some options there. Shout out Danny in the chat. What's going on, buddy? Says, fade God. Got to give credit where it's due. And Danny, I got to tell you, thank you very much, first and foremost. I appreciate the support. And I've always said, you guys, I have no problem laughing at myself. And frankly, any of the haters, take note. This is how you treat the fade God, right? Like, you don't talk shit. You don't be a dick. You don't pile on and be an asshole. But like, if you're fading me, if you're legitimately fading me, if you're actually betting against me, why aren't you supporting me? Like, keep me happy. keep me doing what I'm doing, encourage my mistakes, and then just keep piling cash betting against the things I say. That's the way to do it. So, Danny, appreciate you. Appreciate you being here. I have no problem with you fading me as long as you're not a dick about it. That's all it comes down to.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah, what's up?
I appreciate the stuff that you do. Like to come on here week after week to give breakdowns and be front of the camera. It takes a lot to do that. So I really appreciate what you do. I think people need to understand that it doesn't, it takes a lot. There's a lot of research that goes into it, a lot of work behind the scenes, right? And like you said, you never called yourself a real gambler and stuff, right? It's the people are watching you for the information, for the entertainment value and stuff, right? At the end of the day, if you're betting real money because some guy on the internet told you to do so, that's on you. And you got to, either check yourself or do your own research, right? If you're trying to make money long term, then do your own research. You look to these, for more of information purposes. Maybe I'm not seeing a read, or maybe, somebody has a different point of view. But at the end of the day, you're in charge of your own money. Nobody's taking the money out of your wallet and putting it at the sports book. Make your own decisions, right? Feel what you think is right, and go from there, right? So you can't blame somebody else if you lose. You chose to make that decision. It's on you.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more, man. Couldn't agree more. And on top of that, I always tell people specifically not to tail me. The whole point is I'm telling you guys what I am betting, and you guys can use the information in the preview how you see fit. So definitely appreciate that, my guy. All right, next up, Blackshear takes on my guy, Davey Grant. What does my boy Davey Grant got to do to get some respect around here, Art? What's he got to do? Because I swear, this guy's been disrespected his entire freaking career, and nobody wants to give my boy his flowers. Dangerous is 3-3 in his last 6 fights, and that really doesn't sound great. But let's not forget, he lost a split to Daniel Marcos, which frankly I think could have gone his way. And he lost a split to Adrian Yanez, which frankly I could have argued for it to go his way. Like, this man could be on a 5-fight win streak. Like, he has been fighting absolutely incredibly. He is a dog on a bone. This man is willing to get in there with anybody. He's willing to sling leather with the best of them. He's tough as an old leather boot. He hits like an absolute truck. Like, I love, he's got this like really range management pot shotty type of style where he keeps a high pace and a high volume, but it's not like combos. It's like intercepting people and cutting angles. And I just love the way he fights. Absolutely love the way he fights. Love his attitude. It's not a Davey Grant fight unless there's blood all over the canvas. This guy's got so much scar tissue built up in his face. Couple punches, he's bleeding. The fight doesn't start until he tastes his own blood. Like, Davey Grant is what's up. I love this guy. The problem is he can be taken down. He's got a 61% takedown defense. Now, he has worked on his grappling game, and frankly, one of the worst things I've ever said on camera was that there's no chance in hell he ever submits a man like Rafael Assunção. What does he do immediately after me doing that show? Goes out and submits the guy with much higher grappling credentials than him in the 3rd round, no less. So, I mean, you just can't ever count the guy out. He just makes stuff happen. He's a freaking superhero. He's taking on Blackshear, 17-7-1, 30 years old. The man is on a 3-fight win streak, and he's just a monster grappler. And that's why I had to make mention of that takedown defense thing. Blackshear is one of the few fighters in the UFC, I think 2, right, that has a twister submission to his credit. Like, that's just not something most people hit. He's extremely opportunistic. He is very dangerous in all positions. You know, you look at fighters and what kind of subs they hit, and it's like, you go to Kevin Holland and it's rear naked choke and Anaconda, rear naked choke, and Darce, like all the way down the list. There's 2. He hits 2 over and over and over again, right? There's a bunch of rear naked chokes. There's a bunch of guillotines. Saeed Nurmagomedov, guillotine. Like, there's specialists. Their favorite sub they hit over and over and over again. Not this guy. Like, this cranks, front chokes, rear naked chokes, joint locks, twisters. Like, he hits everything from everywhere. You can never count yourself as safe in a position against the Blackshear. And his striking, frankly, is coming along. That's always been kind of an issue for him, is his defense has been a bit of a problem, especially with like the straight punches. You know, his fight with Montel Jackson, he got absolutely blasted straight down the pipe. And it was over. I mean, in very, very short amount of time. It was like, what, 50, like 20, 30 seconds in, something like that.
18.
You gotta 18. Thank you. Yeah. You gotta watch out. His defensive striking is a bit of a problem, but that seems to be improving. He seems to be getting better, and he's very tall. He's very long. He's going to be 2 inches taller here. He will have a 3-inch reach advantage. But all it comes down to me is that you cannot count Davey Grant out and he's not a guy that's easy to hurt on the feet. I think it's Damon Blackshear. I think it's Damon Blackshear by sub. That hurts my soul to say that because I love Davey Grant and I've gone to war with him many times. He's paid me out several times and I've been robbed on real close, tight, nasty split decisions a couple of times, which those hurt. But I can't do it on this one, man. I can't do it on this one because I think the grappling is just going to be abused here by Damon Blackshear.
I pretty much agree. And if this, if this fight was like a couple years ago, 3-4, years ago, I'd be on the Davey Grant side for sure. But I think he's on the wrong side of 40 now. Like you said, Damon Blackshear is going to be at least 9 years younger. There's some crazy stat that 9 years younger or more is like 70% hit rate, something like that. There's just more athletic. You just slow down a little bit, right? And Davey Grant has never really. He's always struggled against grapplers or getting taken down. I think half of his losses are by a submission. He real hole in his game sort of thing. He wants to trade. He wants to stand. Very good striker. He has power in his hands, right? And so on the feet, I favor Davey Grant, but I don't think Damon Blackshear is out of the water on the feet either. It's not a true grappler versus striker matchup. Blackshear is improving. His striking's pretty good. I don't even think he got any takedowns in that last fight against Haley. And he outpointed him. He outlanded Haley by 64 significant strikes. So he does have some striking that's coming along. He can hold his own on the feet. But if the fight gets down to the ground and Davey Grant has to work from bottom, it's a whole other game. Damon Blackshear is a high level submission artist. Like you said, a lot of different types of submissions. It's not all just one area. And what I noticed with Davey Grant is that he really struggles in fights that he's getting controlled. He loses those fights, right? Outside of the Sunsao fight, right? So, you talked about the Sunsao fight. Sunsao was winning that fight, all fight, and then he
crazy comeback.
This inverted triangle with less than a minute to go. Even Davey Grant got up. It's like, holy shit, I can't believe I did that sort of thing, right? But Sunsao was winning the fight up until that point. He gave up over 4 minutes of control. If Sunsao would have won that, right? The next time he gave up more time was 5 minutes to Marlon Vera. Marlon Vera got his back, controlled him for 5 minutes, ended up winning a decision. Marlon Vera ended up winning a decision. And then the next time after that was Damian Statistics in 2016, gave up 4 minutes control, ended up losing that fight by armbar. So this is one of those fights where like Davey Grant wants to be out in space and move and stick to his volume and stay from the outside, sort of outpoint his way to a decision here. But if Blackshear is going to win, he gets the fight down to the ground at any point. He's probably going to control Davey Grant. Probably honestly finds a submission there. If he gets the back, it's going to be rear naked choke. It's possible that he doesn't find the submission and just cruises to decision from top time. And like I said, even if it stays on the feet, it's probably pretty close. So I'm picking Blackshear. I think he has all the upside, a lot of different ways to win. I'm picking him to win by submission. I think the line is a little bit wide, if I'm being honest. Just it's a big money favorite there. But you kind of get to these points where you have to sort of lay the juice if you feel like you go that way, or again get creative with props. But I think Blackshear is the side. I don't know if I can get to a Davey Grant side at this point.
Yeah, and that's this is where you love the chat, right? I said it all, but maybe I didn't emphasize it quite enough. Got to shout out my guy Blumdog here. Davey Grant hates straight punches. Like that's how you get to Damon Blackshear. Like he's a hitter. He's a big hitter. He's got power. He can hurt him. But he doesn't do straight punches. Everything he throws is a hook. Every single throw from Davey Grant, it's either a hook or an uppercut. It's always looping. So, like, even if he was going to land on this guy, it's not like that, So, yeah, man, I'm with you. It's got to be Damon Blackshear for me. Just out of curiosity, going with the monster grapplers here, Damon Blackshear and Marcus Buchecha, minus 128. That ain't bad. It's not a bad two-leg parlay. Yeah. I'll hate myself for betting against Davey Grant a little bit, but I think that hits.
You can't have a bias, man. You just got to go in there, close your eyes. Whoever's making me money is my favorite fighter today.
Dude, we were just talking about that. So this last fight here with Max Holloway and Dustin Poirier, everyone's a fan favorite on both sides, right? Like two all violence guys, two guys that have been around forever, a couple of legends, a couple of champions. Like we all love both those guys. And I told my wife, because I was talking to my wife and I was like, so who are you rooting for? And she's like, man, I don't know. I can't pick. And I told her, I was like, as soon as that cage door closes, you're going to know exactly who you're a fan of. And a round in, she goes, oh my God, I want Max Holloway to win so bad. There it is. There it is. You think you love both guys. And as soon as the cage door closes, you're afraid for one's life. That's just how it works. You find out on the spot who you think, who you're really a fan of, who you really care about. So yeah, man, it'll hurt my soul because I know I'm more of a fan of Davey Grant. But when it comes to the gambling, like, I gotta take the cash if it's there, man. I think I gotta bet on Damon Blackshear.
You could do like me and bet both sides and take the over in the Holloway Poirier fight and just, like whatever happens, as long as it goes over and you get a good fight, then both guys win, sort of thing. But
See,
can we talk about, please,
that's genius.
The BMF belt, Dustin Poirier? How does he not strike in the last second? You're fighting for the BMF belt, your retirement fight in your home crowd. Max Holloway points to the center of the cage, and you're shooting takedowns. Come on,
Bro.
like you cannot. You're out of the conversation from here on out. I had a 90-1 bet that there would be a knockout in the last 30 seconds, banking on it. And no, I just there's no way Poirier doesn't oblige, do whatever. And then I looked at it. He shot a takedown with 5 seconds to go. Are you serious?
Pain.
Stuff. Yeah.
And that it robbed the fans, man. I mean, but he didn't want to go out. I think he was hurt. I think he was hurt badly in that spot. And frankly, Art, I'll push it one further. Like, how does Dustin Poirier not engage with the BMF? 10 seconds left. I think Max carried him.
Yeah.
I think Max carried him because in round 1, he had Max on skates. And then he got on top of him. There were 3 different opportunities for Max to land, to wrap up a submission or to even try, make an effort for a fight-ending choke. And he specifically backed off. Like, you could see it where he registered, I could go there. And then he starts throwing instead. He wanted to use the hands. It was very obvious he wanted to use the hands. And then as the fight went on, he went to a long-term pace type of thing where I think he wanted that BMF moment at the end of the fight, whether somebody got in his ear, whether the UFC got in his ear, or whether it was just him looking for that moment. Yeah. He did not want to finish the fight before the end of the 5th round. He wanted that moment to point at the center of the cage. So I actually think Max kind of let Dustin hang around in that fight.
I called up Max before the fight and said, hey, can you just get it to round 5? Finish him at the end of round 5, please, for me? He said, all right, buddy, I'll do it. But
take a shot at it.
Yeah.
Oh, man. All right, here we go. Next up, you've got Muslim Salikhov, the king of Kung Fu, and he takes on Carlos Leal, our favorite PFL transplant over here. This fight should be fun as long as it lasts, man. Muslim Salikhov, I've talked about him being a guy I'm kind of confused on for a long time, and that's because he's so damn good, but he's so low volume. He's so explosive. He'll hit you with a spinning heel kick from hell, and nothing will happen until that point. 4 minutes into the 2nd round, and all of a sudden, boom, you're done. You're just out. You're unconscious. You're dead. But he's 41 years old. The man is getting old. Somehow he's on a 2-fight win streak. He won a split decision against Santiago Ponzinibbio that I'm not so sure I agree with. And then he got a spinning heel kick win over Keenan Song. But before that, he got starched by Randy Brown. I mean, you could tell he was a little slow. You could tell the durability wasn't quite there. You give this guy a young fighter, a not age-appropriate fighter, and you see what happens in a hurry. Nicholas Dalby, not the biggest finisher. He'll grind a decision with that guy. Santiago, age-appropriate. Split decision, okay. Song Kanan, he'll still spark that guy. He's still got the power. But Carlos Leal is a different monster altogether, in my opinion, man. 22-6, 31 years old. I will never, ever forgive them robbing me against Renat Fakhretdinov. I mean, at worst case scenario, I thought that was a draw. And he comes back, gets on track against Alex Morono, gets it done early. This man has power. He's very well-rounded. He can grapple. He almost strike his Duplessis style where it seems very unnatural. He'll look tired, but just keeps going anyway. That's the kind of guy you're dealing with here. And the raw power is going to be a problem. Don't get me wrong. If he gets spinning heel kicked, Muslim Salikhov has still got it. He can still hit that shot. He can still win this fight by knockout. But I think the physicality, I think the impact, I think the durability, I think the cardio, all boxes are checked on Carlos Leal. I think Muslim Salikhov's in for a bad night, man. I think Leal's going to knock him out.
Yeah, I mean, it's some kind of like Tail of Two Tapes, right? Leal looking like the shiny new toy. Salikhov on the tail end of his career. He's a Wushu Sanda competitor, 5-time world champ. I think, one of the most decorated Wushu Sanda competitors in history, but it doesn't really translate that well to the UFC, right? And, I find it so funny because, I think back to like a Derek Lewis or like a Muslim Salikhov, right? Like I give these guys somewhat of a puncher's chance, and I try to assign like a percentage to it. It's a very low percentage, right? And if I say, Clint, what are the chances of somebody winning by wheel kick, right? It's very low. We don't see wheel kicks at all, let alone KOs and stuff. But with Muslim Salikhov, 6 of his last 8 TKO wins were from spinning shit. Either a spinning back kick, spinning hook kick, spinning something to the body. He just spins so much that he just spams spins like on the controller. He's just spin, 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 and then he eventually lands here, right? So that's pretty much his path to victory here. He's not a big volume guy, like you said. He's not going to out pressure you. He's not going to out grapple you. His path to victory is a spin kick. And, I can't say it's not live because he just keeps on doing it over and over, especially at 41. But Carlos Leal is a bad matchup for him. Like, with a kicker, especially with somebody that spins, you need room to spin. You need to, that space to spin. And if you're going to stand at range, you got to wait for him to turn his body, turn his hips, throw that kick, and then be in the same position that you were when he started the kick, right? Leal's always on the front foot. He's always coming forward. He sort of has this Strickland thing where he's keeping his hands up in front of his face and he's like pawing at the strikes that come in. And then he's throwing his own power counters. He does well, like rolling with the punches. You'll see him a lot of the times, like the punches will go off his shoulder because he's just rolling back and forth. And he seems to have a pretty good chin as well. So he has, like you said, all those boxes. He just has the style to make this fight completely horrible for Salikhov. Salikhov does struggle against pressure fighters. You talked about that Randy Brown fight, right? He caught him clean with that. And then I take it even further. I go back to the Jinglang Li fight. Same thing where Lee's on the front foot, pressuring him. Salikhov doesn't like it. He keeps that left hand pretty low, so the right hand over the top is pretty open. That's what Randy Brown caught him with. That's what Lee caught him with, right? So I can see that Leal just landing the right hand there, getting him, and then once he gets touched, he sort of goes out here, right? So I think Leal has all the upside. I do want to say, like, I could see, because Leal keeps this high guard and front guard up in his face, he is keeping the body open. And if Salikhov does spin to the body, he could, hit a liver, shut him off sort of there. But that's like the only way I see it, right? Like, even if they start throwing in the pocket, I favor Leal's power. I favor his chin, his durability, all that stuff right there. So I think it's Carlos Leal. I think I'm not going to say safe parlay piece because you guys are going to come back at me, but I think he has all the ways to win. I rate Salikhov as a puncher's chance or a kicker's chance at something. I don't really see how he can pull it out here. I think Salikhov can do whatever he wants at this point.
Okay. Yeah, you and me see that one eye to eye for sure. And that's, it's so tough, man. I always tell people there are no locks. I don't use the word lock very specifically because I thought Kevin Holland was a lock. Like, even when you've got every box checked going your direction, shit happens in this game. And I apologize. I think it was Dixon. Somebody in the chat, by the way, was saying that there's rumors going around that Holland was like concussed going into the fight or something. And frankly, that would make a ton of sense because he was like whiffing on his punches in round 1 in that fight. He did not look himself. So like, that's the kind of thing you just don't know about, man. Like, what if there's a clash of heads in the final warm up in the gym, Thursday before the fight, and you're wobbled, but you're not going to tell the doctors that because you need a paycheck. Like, guys get in there in that state. You just never know in this damn sport. So cannot say that Carlos Leal is a lock, but I mean, I think he wins this fight, man. That's the one that I'm like, I really feel like he wins this fight.
If he goes to decision, you're a little bit uncomfortable. You're like, oh, we should be okay though. You never know. Yeah. Like he's going back to the scene of the crime. He surprised he took this fight in enemy territory after what happened, but hopefully he doesn't get there.
Yeah, the judges can't rob you if your opponent's unconscious. That's all I gotta say about that. All right, guys, real quick. Need to shout out Spectation Sports. If you guys have not been checking out Spectation Sports, you absolutely need to. Promo code DieHard is going to get you a 20% off when you sign up. And guys, this weekend we had a doubleheader with a bunch of guys that belong in the UFC, with a bunch of guys that are going to be on Dana White's Contender Series, and the fights were phenomenal. If you need more MMA in your life, check out Spectation Sports and use my code to go ahead and get a discount. I got permission to go ahead and show you guys this. You got to see this. This kid, Jason Horowitz. Bro, absolutely insane comeback. Like, this kid hits him with the Sparta 300 kick. Are you kidding me? He got dropped and rocked so badly. He was getting whooped all over the cage. And then he comes back and wins via TKO. That's the kind of stuff you're seeing at Cage Titans. That's the kind of stuff that's on Spectation Sports every single weekend. Link in the description below. Promo code DIEHARD, like I said, gets you a 20% discount. And all these guys are going to be on Dana White's Contender Series. You're going to need it for the tape study, especially because right now, Fight Pass is bullshit. The UFC can't get their crap together as far as the sponsor goes. You can't watch, previews and replays on ESPN anymore because that deal is ending. Like, you're going to need Spectation Sports. So get signed up, use my code, save some money, and get some more MMA action. We're talking UFC Abu Dhabi. I'm joined by Mr. Electrocute Art C, a guy who, if you're a gambler, you need to know. Somebody who on social media especially you need to be following. So make sure you check out Art and shout out my boy in the chat, Porco Rosso. What's going on, buddy? Thank you very much for the sticker. Thank you very much for the donation. I appreciate your love and your support. Thank you for being here always, my guy. That means an absolute ton to me. All right, let's move it along. We got a good one here, man. We got a good one here. Bryce Thug Nasty Mitchell taking on Saeed Nurmagomedov. Now, again, I apologize, you guys. The wife cleaned the house a little bit, and I don't know where my crown is at. I forgot to ask for it this weekend. I need my crown because this is a bantamweight fight. We got Bryce Mitchell dropping down to 135 pounds, taking on one of the Nurmagomedovs that I'm not overly fond of, to be quite frank. But the first thing I want to talk to you about doesn't have anything to do with the fight, Art. Doesn't have anything to do with the way these two guys match up. Bryce Mitchell apparently came out in an interview and said he's dropping down to 135 pounds because he was scared of Gene Silva. Now, he didn't say because he was scared, right? He didn't say because he was scared. But literally, he said he felt bullied in a way that he'd never felt bullied before. He felt so powerless in that fight against a physical freak like Gene Silva that he went, shit, I got to fight smaller dudes. Like, he's literally dropping weight class because of how physical Gene Silva is. And I kind of think that's a bad move. Like, we've talked about it before, right? You can have some success switching weight classes. You can, but the skill set's got to be there. Changing weight classes when you don't change your skill differential is always a problem. These guys who just cut weight and drop down, it doesn't ever go well for them. Maybe they win their first fight, right? Maybe they win their first one or two, but as soon as they get back to a skilled level of competition, nothing's different. Nothing's different. And he's taking on a Nurmagomedov in this spot. Now, not your usual Nurmagomedov. This is the dag fighter Nurmagomedov. This is the 33 years old, kind of meh Nurmagomedov. This guy is 2-2 in his last 4. Drop fights to Jonathan Martinez and Vinicius Oliveira. So it's not like he can't be had, but he's got the nastiest guillotine choke in the game. Choked out Muin Gafurov. Choked out Saig Yakub Kakramanov, which to this day just hurts, man. Like, it's like a brutal memory of getting kicked in the balls. Like, I remember just foaming at the mouth to cash that ticket because Saeed was just teaching this boy a lesson. And then he got immediately cut from the organization, and we've never seen or heard from him ever again. So, like, it was a sad night for me for him to get caught in that guillotine choke, but that's what you're dealing with Saeed Nurmagomedov. Bryce Mitchell should have a strength advantage, right? You would think maybe dropping this weight class, but he's taken on one of the bigger guys in the division, so not guaranteed. He's a very good wrestler, mostly cardio, mostly pace. He just pressures people, and that's really how he gets a lot of what he's got going on. He did TKO Kron Gracie, who's a bum and never should have been in the UFC. He did outwork a guy like Dan Ige, which is pretty impressive. I know Dan Ige, the way you beat him is wrestling, which, by the way, fuck you, Pitbull. You're not going to wrestle against Yair Rodriguez, but you'll wrestle against Dan Ige. I hate you. But this guy also has been had, right? He's been choked out a couple of different times, and that's really the big thing is Saeed's got these chokes. I think this fight, I've got my crystal ball here, Art. I really do. Bryce Mitchell is going to win this fight right up until he doesn't. He's going to be up 2 rounds. It's going to be 2018 unanimously on all 3 judges' scorecards. And then in round 3, Saeed's going to hit a high elbow guillotine, and he's just not going to be able to wiggle out of it. That's how this fight is going. I know I'm going to get this one wrong, Art. I know I'm going to get this fight wrong. If I bet on Bryce Mitchell, he will be up 2 rounds and then get choked out by Saeed. If I bet on Nurmagomedov, by sub or money line to go ahead and hit that submission prop. Bryce Mitchell is going to rinse him. Bryce is going to absolutely wash this guy for 15 straight minutes. There will be no questions asked at the end of it. It doesn't matter which one I pick. I will be wrong. What about you? What do you think is going to happen in this fight? Because I just know I'm going to step in it if I make a move betting wise.
Yeah, because they're probably in the back room before the fight, and they're like, "Who did Clint bet on?
Yep.
Oh, okay, it's your turn to win. All right, sure."
Vegas made the call, man.
You know what? You could play it smart. Okay, so you think Bryce Mitchell will grapple, but you think he could get choked out. So you could take the Bryce Mitchell money line side. I think it's a pick'em sort of thing, but then you could also take it. There's nothing stopping. There's no rule book that says you can't take Saeed submission round 3. It's probably going to be like 50-1 somewhere around there. Like he's not really, maybe 30-1 sort of thing, and you sort of arb off a little bit. You're betting like a tenth of what your unit size is, so you make profit either way. You could do 2-3 to cover yourself, sort of thing, right? But you don't be afraid to bet both sides if there's a path there and you can sort of protect yourself, sort of thing. But yeah, like this fight's pretty interesting, and I know a lot of sharp guys are on the Bryce Mitchell side. I will start out by saying I took the Saeed Nurmagomedov side at juice, and I've got CLV'd, so I might end up adding to that side. So there's a couple of things I want to point out here. So on the feet, Saeed Nurmagomedov, he's not going to be your typical guy. I think it's like minus 400 for them to mention that he's not really related to Khabib, that he just knows him, sort of thing. I think that's a lock. But that's the truth, right? He's not really a wrestler. He's more of a kickboxer. Really dynamic kicks, switches stances, bounces in and out, good range management, right, sort of thing. So on the feet, I think it's all Nurmagomedov. I think he can outpoint him, outland, all that stuff, right? So I think it's Bryce Mitchell, and he has to grapple in order to sort of win this fight. And you'd bring up the Dan Ige fight. That one was frustrating because Bryce Mitchell's face was all mangled up. He was losing that fight until Bryce Mitchell gets these outside trips and just happens to land into mount and ends up winning rounds 2 and 3. So I could see that case on this side where it's Saeed's winning the fight until he gets taken down and then gets sort of stuck there, right? So I go back and it comes down for me to the takedown defense of Saeed Nurmagomedov, and I see, okay, who's taking him down and in terms of what context, right? So he's been taken down 11 times in the UFC, right? And 5 of them coming against Saeed Kakramanov, right? You talked about that one. And then 2 of them against Ronnie Barcelos, who's a Brazilian wrestling champion. And we just saw Oliveira, he got 3 takedowns in that fight. So, and I go deeper. I watch the tape on the takedowns. How is he defending the takedowns? What is he doing? Would you believe that I would guess at least 80 to 90% of the time that he's getting taken down, it's because he's doing some spinning shit. He's throwing a back kick, he's throwing a back fist. If you think of like Valentina Shevchenko versus Alexa Grasso, she's cruising to a win. She spins in round 5, gets the back taking and sub. That's exactly what's happening with Saeed Nurmagomedov. He's giving up the takedowns where he's spinning into it, he's falling off balance, and then he's giving up the takedowns. In pure situations where guys are shooting double legs and single legs on him, he's defending well, good hips, he's sprawling off and getting back out to the circle. He's literally giving away these takedowns, right? And even Barcelos, he has the back. Barcelos can't get him down. He has a point where he's on all fours and he's just a table, and Barcelos can't get him down. What I noticed is that he defends the takedowns well, but he can lose minutes defending the takedowns. He doesn't really have an urgency to like get back up or defend it well and get back to space. So I could see a case where Bryce Mitchell is just in on a takedown. He's working on something. Saeed's defending well. It's sort of a stalemate, but if you have to pick somebody to win, you give it to the guy that's attacking. Bryce is not going to really do much damage. I think if Bryce gets him onto the ground, Saeed does a good job of getting overhooks, creating the distance. I think he goes butterfly guard and tries to sweep and get up. It's really hard to hold him down there. So I do think that Mitchell obviously has to grapple in this fight. I do think that he could find a takedown or 2. I don't know if he's holding Saeed down. And then when it gets to the feet, I think that Saeed's going to do all of the damage, the striking. I think he's going to be better on the feet. So I think it favors him in terms of the judges' eyes. I don't think Bryce is going to submit him on the feet or on the ground. and I don't think he really has an answer for him on the feet there. So in this fight, I have some Saeed money line, but I will get creative with like a Saeed finish only because I don't think Mitchell's going to KO or sub him sort of thing. I kind of like the overs because I don't think, it's sort of a stalemate. Saeed's not really a power puncher. He has some, I think he only has one finish, and that was against Mark Striegel. Striegel was attempting a single leg, and then he caught him with the elbows sort of thing, right? And then I think you have to play guillotine or ninja choke. It's going to be interesting because, again, I think it is a ninja choke. He doesn't put the arm in there, but he does go to guillotine as well. BetMGM sometimes offers exact submission props, and the guillotine is normally like plus 200, 250, something ridiculous. But then ninja choke is like 50-1 sort of thing. So we'll see where this one comes out. They've been doing a horrible job where
they've been pretty sharp lately about the exact ones. Like Holland by Darce this past week was like nuked, man. And like the Walter Walker heel hook was like only 50 cents better than his regular sub prop.
They know. When the books offer only one-way lines, or you can only bet one way, they can set the juice whatever they want, because you don't take it, they don't lose any money. They take it, they grab your money sort of thing. So be smart about it. But I think that Saeed can edge it out here. It's going to be interesting to look at one, if Bryce Mitchell makes weight, and two, what he actually looks like. Maybe he fades later on into the fight because of the weight cut. You might want to lie bet it to see how he looks. But sometimes with the weight cut, you can't take as big of a punch and stuff. So there are question marks. You have to be somewhat cautious when you're doing these. And Bryce Mitchell fighting outside of America, what that looks like, a couple of question marks. So don't go crazy on it either way. I don't think you can be confident either way, but I lean the Nurmagomedov side, especially at plus money if he's going to be an underdog here.
Ovs and Evs in Abu Dhabi, man. I hear you. I feel you. And I think there's going to be a lot of support for Bryce Mitchell. I mean, just the state of the world and everything going on in the United States right now, the ripping heart Americans out there wanting to back their guy that's going to hold the Bible up and scream. Like, I think Bryce is going to get a lot of public support from the betting public this week, just because of who he is and what he'll say on the microphone. I wouldn't be shocked at all for the guy with the last name Ov in Abu Dhabi to get the win, regardless of, whether or not he gets the finish. Like, it could be a very close fight with some grappling. And I think Saeed probably has a striking advantage in this spot as well, with the height and the reach and the range. I want to see the weight cut. That's something that we got to go. I'm sorry, I missed your name. Somebody in the chat said, I want to bet that the fight is at a catch weight. I love that. Like, there's a very real possibility that Bryce has a real hard time cutting weight for this fight. It may not even go at the weight class we're expecting it to. So that's a great call. I want to watch these guys on the scale on Saturday before I do anything. But yeah, looking maybe at the sub prop on Saeed Nurmagomedov. Good call with the Ezekiel shout. You love to see that kind of thing happen. We'll see. All right, guys. Next up, we have got Nikita Krylov taking on Bogdan Guskov. We've come all the way back around. Bog gang in the house. What's up, Bogdan? There we go. Nikita Krylov. Art, I got to tell you, there's not a whole lot I've gotten right the last couple of years. I've been pretty bad the last couple of years. But the one thing I got right, and I'm now fully justified in, is saying that Nikita Krylov is mid. He's a bum. I talked about this guy taking on Dom Reyes, and I could not, nobody was giving me any respect, and frankly, I don't deserve any right now, but the night he fought Dom Reyes, I said, he's going to lose this fight. Not only is he going to lose it, Dom is going to knock his ass out. I couldn't have been more spot on. I couldn't have been more correct about it. Nikita Krylov is a mid fighter who seems very good because 205 sucks. These guys are so bad. The division is so thin. This guy would not be a top 10 fighter in any other weight class. He's a decent wrestler. He's a decent striker. He's not a contender. He's extremely hittable. He doesn't have the best chin. He's got okay cardio. Like, this guy landed 7 takedowns on Volkan Oezdemir. Like, you got to give him credit for the ability to dig deep and keep going and push, but he gets desperate almost in the striking, man. It's like he's reaching for something out ahead of him. He wants to hit you so badly, and he leaves himself way open for counters. Like, he is so hittable coming back the other direction, and he can't take a punch the way that you would expect him to. He's got a 44% striking defense. Now, I know not everybody has like incredible striking defense, but I don't like it when somebody's got under 50%. That's pretty bad. He's got 6 losses by sub as well, so he can lose in these scrambles. Like, for being a guy who's a primary grappler most of the time in the UFC, he gets caught in these scrambles a lot. And he's only got 53% takedown defense. He's not a guy that's going to shuck off your takedowns. You can hit takedowns. You can out wrestle. You can out grapple this man as well. There's so many holes in his game that the good people are going to be able to abuse. Bogdan Guskov, 17-3, 32 years old, my bald brother, tough start to his career. Common opponent, Volkov, lost that fight in his first fight and has rattled off 3 wins since. He's got very fast hands. He averages about 4 significant strikes per minute, 55% accuracy. Like, the dude's quick. He bites down on the mouthpiece and he wants to send your head to the 6th row. He wants to knock you out with everything he throws. And because of that, he can gas out. He can get real tired real quick because he just wants to crush your skull with every single punch he throws. Seems like he's done a little bit better job with that recently. You know, his last fight, again, you know, we were talking about a little bit earlier on the card. He knocked out Billy Elekana, or clubbed and subbed him, I guess. You know, he exhausted Billy and then finished him in that fight. Billy was kind of a punching bag after round 1, but he got taken down early. He got his back taken early. He got clipped a couple times early. Like, it wasn't a great look for Bogdan Guskov. Now, I like Bogdan Guskov. I've done okay with Bogdan since he's made it to the UFC. But I also don't know that he's a contender either. I know he's the new blood. I know he's fresh meat, but I don't know that he's the guy either. I really feel like we can see some grappling success here in Nikita Krylov. I don't like backing Nikita Krylov, you guys, but I feel like this is kind of the intersection of recency bias here. Bogdan has looked so good, but it's against bottom feeders. And Nikita Krylov just got exposed, but it's against Dom Reyes, the guy who beat John Jones, the guy who's got championship medal in him. That's the guy who knocked him out. I see money coming in on Bogdan Guskov. Nikita Krylov is a -180 favorite. Bogdan's down to +150. I respect people taking the shot, but I don't think Guskov is as good of a striker as Dom Reyes. I don't think Guskov, maybe he's got the same amount of power as Reyes when he like bites down and really goes for it, but just when you're just touching, when you're just out there flowing, like I think you're going to get more impact regularly from a guy like Reyes. And I know Reyes can go 15 minutes. I know Reyes can go 25 minutes. We've seen Bogdan get tired and gas out. We've seen him get taken down by worse fighters. I don't think he's a Dom Reyes. So I kind of think this is a buy low spot on Nikita Krylov. Like, everybody's off the ship all of a sudden because Dom Reyes knocks you out. I think this is the time to cash in. Buy low on Nikita Krylov, man. -180. Favorite or pass? I like Nikita here this week.
Yeah, I'll say I normally go with the guy. You know, I try to fade the public perception. I try to go with, you know, buy low spot sort of thing. And I'll tell you, I was on Krylov versus Reyes. I thought that Reyes was coming back. I thought he looked a little bit washed, but it was the opposite sort of thing. For me, it was Krylov. And again, I like Krylov because of the technicals. I thought he had grappling upside. I had, you know, all this game plan and such, right? But then I watched the tape when he comes again. He was off for 2 years before he came back and fought Reyes. I can't remember why he was off for the 2 years, but he came back and he looked good. He's moving around well. And then, you know, Reyes lands a jab, just a straight jab, and it buckles Krylov. He just like, he goes down. He's like visibly stunned by a jab. It's like, oh, okay, what's going on here, right? And you know, just the jab's knocking them down. And then they spin around for a little bit. And then same thing where Krylov, you talked about his defensive inefficiencies. He's leading. He's sort of overextending on every single punch, and he's leading with his head. He's like leading his head, and then the overhand comes over. He's like in with his head. The overhand comes, and Reyes is seeing it, right? So you can see Reyes trying to like set up the pull counter. He's like backing up, sort of thing, and that's what it is. Krylov starts to tries to engage, leads with his head. You can see Reyes literally jump off of his feet, twist and hit him in the air and catch him clean coming in, knocks him out cold, right? So Dom Reyes landed 8 significant strikes that fight. 2 of them were knockouts, knockdowns sort of thing. And 2 of them were like after he got knocked out. So he probably only landed 6 strikes there and he got rocked with 2 of them. I'm not convinced. I can't, from what I'm seeing, like if Krylov's chin is completely gone, which it kind of looks like based on the tape, getting rocked by a jab, you know, Reyes, Yeah, he fought John Jones, but he was never like a huge power puncher either. You can see him off. He's like literally jumping in the air when he throws his counter. It's not like he sat down on it, and he's getting touched and Krylov goes out. So it's hard for me to take Krylov because I don't know where his chin's at. Bogdan Guskov is a huge power puncher and he hits very hard. But like you said, he has a huge deficiency when it comes down to the takedowns, right? And if he gets taken down, like we talked about Elekana, it's either you got to pick either Elekana's garbage and he got taken down by Elekana and got his back taken, or Elekana is actually good. He got taken down. You know, you got to pick your spots. You can't say he's garbage and then both sides are garbage sort of thing. It's either one or the other, right? But he gets his
I
back
kind of think the
taken.
truth is the middle of both, though.
Okay,
Like
okay,
I think Elekana's okay, and
yeah.
I think Guskov is okay. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, Guskov got submitted by Volkan, who's not really a ground guy, right? Same sort of thing, right? So
Volkan don't
I
submit
favor
anybody.
Guskov. Yeah, I favor his power. And then I go back to the, I looked at the Krylov versus Volkan fight, same thing. Volkan landed a ton early in that fight. He went 20, he shot like 20 takedowns. He only got 7 of them. He really struggled to keep Volkan down. So I could see a case where, wearing on him. But like you said, Bogdan's cardio is not that great, so if it's a grappling heavy game plan, it probably wears on him. Krylov could find a finish into the later rounds, or Krylov has to keep range and sort of pick his spots on the outside. But I think if Guskov finds a chin at any point, he can put him out. It's hard. I like the upside with Bogdan. I'll be honest, I played his money line for 1 unit, but I will come back on the Krylov side. Finding some sort of submission one type sort of thing because I think that's definitely possible if the fight counts down to the ground. Like you said, I don't like what I see from Krylov. I don't know why he was off for so long. He didn't look great on his way back. I'm not a guy to normally jump on it just because of one fight, but just when I slow down the fight and I see what he's getting hit with and the reaction of what he's getting hit with against a big power puncher, I like the dog money on Bogdan, and I can arb off live if I need to on Krylov if he doesn't get starched round 1. So I leave myself open there.
Okay. Green King, shout out. My guy said it was a shoulder surgery. That was the long
Okay.
layoff for Krylov. It was the shoulder surgery. And I remember talking about that. Yeah, man. I understand everything that you're saying, but again, you and I were kind of talking about me like finding myself a little bit, right? Like one thing I've been awful at, just god awful at, is figuring out when people have got something left in the tank and figuring out when they're dead. When they're just toast and I'm like, they're done, man. Like, no way they come back for this one. I'm wrong. And the guys that I'm betting on, like Marvin Vettori, where I'm like, he had this nagging injury. I think we're going to see him 100% again. Jamal Hill, it's been long enough. I think we're going to kind of see the old him. Nope. I've been wrong. So this is another one where I'm like, man, if I'm ready to declare Nikita Krylov just dead on arrival, I'm probably wrong. So I'm willing to think maybe he's got a little bit left in the tank because I think he's dead. Under. What do you think about under in this one?
Yeah,
Because
I can
frankly,
see it going both sides have ways to get there on the under, right? If
right.
Krylov's chin's completely gone, then he could get knocked out in round 1. If he gets the grappling game going, then you could find the submission pretty early. You get the first half of round number 2 as well. If it's
Yep.
50-50, depends on the price. I would favor
Minus
the under
160
rather.
is what's out there right now.
Yeah, that's about fair. I think it ends under more than it goes over. For Guskov to win a decision, it's not. Has to be really big moments, and Krylov's chin has to be durable, and has to stay on the feet. Krylov decision is like a lot of top time, a lot of grappling without finding the submission, getting the back and not finding it right. So there are ways it can get there, but it's not too likely that it happens, right? There are more cases that it goes under than over, I think.
I'm with you. I mean, Krylov only has 4 decisions in his entire career. He's 50-50 in those, but like he's been submitted 6 times. He's got 16 sub wins. He's got 12 knockouts. He's been knocked out a couple of times. Like he's not a decision fighter at all. And Guskov's only been to decision once. So yeah, man, I mean, maybe this is the one, like maybe this is the crazy one where everything just splits right, but I can't see it. I think if Guskov wins, it's a knockout. And if Guskov wins, it's probably because Krylov is pretty well shot. If Krylov wins, it's kind of any way he wants to, right? Like he can win via sub, he can win by knockout, but he's a violent guy. He doesn't take his foot off the gas. So I have a hard time seeing him also winning a 15-minute decision unless he very specifically wants to. So yeah. Man, I kind of like fight doesn't go the distance as a parlay piece. I'm sure it'll be chalked to all hell. So I'm not sure if you could even use it necessarily. But under 1.5 is kind of the way I'd be looking on this one. And yeah, maybe steering into the totals is a better way to go than picking a side on this kind of a fight.
Yeah, don't feel like you're forced to pick a side, right? You can pick totals. I didn't even see that the props are out, so I'll have to like take a look at some of these lines and stuff. But yeah, you can always pass. You could, get some more information and bet it live. There are ways of approaching it rather than just guessing that somebody's washed, right? You'll find out in the first 2 minutes based on how they're moving, what they look like, how slowly look like, if they're completely washed. So if you want to hold off and bet Krylov after you're like, okay, he's actually moving pretty well, or oh, he took a big shot from Guskov, that was probably the biggest shot, and he's still standing. Let me get in on the Krylov side, sort of thing, right? You can gather more information and pick your side there rather than trying to make assumptions and such, right? But you might lose the line and stuff, right? That's why live betting's so good as well.
That's the game. That's the whole game right there. Absolutely. All right, guys. Next up, you've got Asu Almabayev, and he takes on Jose Ochoa. This is a great fight. All right, this is a fantastic fight. Let's start with Asu. Asu Almabayev. I like this kid. I've talked about this guy, right? Like you guys know, I've been a big fan of Asu Almabayev since he got to the UFC. Just a monster grappler, this kid. Very strong. He's a little short. He's a little stocky. He's uncomfortable on the feet. I think we saw that in his last couple of fights. He just doesn't seem to quite have himself figured out on the feet. And at 31 years old, he's probably not going to make massive improvements in that area. He's coming off of a KO loss to angry flow state Manel Cop. Like that guy's unstoppable. If you get angry Manel Cop and he hits that flow state, dude's championship caliber. Like that, he can take anybody in that state on that night. So can't really blame Asu Almabayev for really losing that one. And it's funny, actually, Art, we broke that fight down together. That's the last time you were on the pod. We talked about that one.
That's right.
He was originally booked for Usyk for that fight, and then got Manel Cop, a short notice opportunity type thing. And he, again, totally different fighter. So you kind of got to expect maybe he'll be a little bit more prepared coming into this one. Got his 4-fight win streak snapped. Averages 4-ish takedowns per 15 minutes, 42% accuracy. Monster grappler. This kid hits takedowns like nothing else. And very opportunistic when it comes to the grappling, climbs into dominant positions, back takes, body triangles, smothering when it comes to his grappling. Very good at taking the back, very good at locking in, rear naked chokes, things like that. But he also is not opposed to just grinding. Like this guy will just work you for 15 minutes and win a fight if he needs to. Coming off a loss like he did to Cop, gotta think maybe that's in the cards here, is that he's just looking to get back on track and get a dub. Jose Ochoa at 8-1, 24 years old, shoot the box prospect, 1-1 so far in the UFC. Dropped his debut to undefeated Loner Kavanaugh, a guy who looks very exciting. So can't really knock him either for that. Bounced back by knocking out Cody Durden in his next fight, which kind of a step up in competition almost, and just shined. Like kid looked absolutely fantastic in his second fight and got it done, man. Like that was very impressive. So this kid is crazy aggressive. He's mean in the clinch. He's got big looping overhands. I think his best weapon is that left hook, but he melts people in the clinch with knees to the body. Like he just destroys people. He's going to be taller, 3 inches taller, 2-inch reach advantage. We have kind of talked about how fighters sometimes taller can be at a disadvantage, especially against grapplers, because if you can't get your legs underneath you, you can get taken down. You can get controlled by the shorter guy, that kind of thing. So I do think there's a path to wrestling here for Asu Almabayev, but damn, man, I also am at the point where Ochoa might be the kind of guy that I just don't want to get in front of. I had a moment with Josh Van, where I said, I really think I need to bet Brandon Royval on this fight. This has got to be it, right? Like this has got to be the spot where the kid's fought too much. He's been too active, but I just don't need to bet against Josh Van. Well, I bet against Josh Van and I lost. I don't know that I need to bet against Jose Ochoa. Like I feel like this might be a decision victory for Asu Almabayev. I can't see him finishing Ochoa. I really can't. I can see Ochoa finishing Asu by KO, especially if Asu's still not fully recovered from his last fight. I think it's going to be a slog. I think it's going to be a grind. Asu by decision is the prediction, but at a pick'em, I really just don't know that I need to bet against this kid. This is one that I can let go down the road there.
Maybe I'll make your case and change your mind here, but
maybe so.
Okay, so yeah, the last time I was on the show was Asu coming in on short notice against Manel Cop. I got like plus 195 on Asu because I liked his grappling. I liked his relentless takedowns, his top control when he gets the takedown. It's very rare that you get up from underneath him. His control is good, and he has very good chain wrestling. He's always like shooting a single leg, moving into a double. He gets you on the fence, and he's tripping you, sort of thing. It's always takedown after takedown. He has over 50 takedown attempts in 5 fights. So he's nonstop looking for these takedowns, right? And I thought, I went back and watched Manel Kape's takedown defense. On paper, it looked pretty good. On tape, there was some holes. I thought that Asu could find a takedown, especially round 1. And then my plan was to live bet, Manel Kape after Asu got the takedown and Arbaugh for some good money there. But Asu never got the takedown, and the Manel Kape line just ballooned out, and they ended up losing that bet. But you can't fault him for losing to Manel Kape. Manel Kape's probably future champion. If I had, those tickets, I would be saying that he's going to be 2026 future champion. He has all the tools there. Asus tried to grapple. He tried to grapple him 6 times. Deep on the hips, but just Manel Kape, defended the takedowns well, down blocks, keeps the fight on the feet. Obviously, on the feet, Manel Kape's, a beast on the feet, sort of thing. So, I get the comparisons, but it's not simple just 1-to-1 saying that Ochoa is going to do the same thing that Manel Kape's going to do. Run the same game plan. He's just going to starch him. They're nowhere near the same. Jose Ochoa got taken down 2 times to Cody Durden in that first fight, or in that first round. I believe Cody Durden actually won that first round because of grappling, and Durden's on his way out, right? He's past his prime. He has maybe a couple of fights left. He got taken down twice by Durden, and then gave up almost 2 minutes of control time to Cody Durden, right? And then other than that, I didn't really see much tape of Ochoa off of his back or working on takedown defense or getting up. I do know that he wasn't training wrestling as a kid growing up. He sort of got into mixed martial arts, later in his career, sort of thing. So I'm making an assumption here that Asu's grappling and the offensive grappling is just going to be a lot for Ochoa. Like, yeah, okay, he's great on the feet. You talked about how he wants to be in the clinch and he works those knees, but are you going to clinch a guy that wants to take you down? No, you're going to have to strike with him at range and stuff, right? And the other thing with Ochoa is he loves to kick. He's always kicking, high kick, low kick, spin kicks, all these different types of kicks, right? You're not going to kick against a wrestler. Against a wrestler, Almabayev will reach down, grab the kick, and take you down there, right? So it sort of takes away all of the kicking game as well. You can even see in the Manel Kape. Manel Kape was very hesitant to throw any kind of kicks on him. He stayed to strictly boxing because he knew if he throws the kicks, he's going to get taken down and controlled and stuff, right? So I think the dynamic of fighting a high-level wrestler, it puts you into a shell where you're not able to load up on your strikes, not able to sit down, not able to get into the clinch, not able to throw a lot of knees and stuff, right? Or kicks. So I like the grappling upside of Asu. I think he can get the takedown. It might be the round. I think he can rinse and repeat. I think he could look minus 400 if he can get the grappling going. But for Jose, for him, he's going to have to stay on the outside. He's going to have to stick and move. Yeah, he can knock Asu out, but Asu's always moving. He's not sitting in the pocket trading with you either. He's either all the way out or all the way in. When he's in, he's probably on your legs, sort of thing, and it's too late. So Jose sort of has to time it like a strike on the way in, sort of a counter sort of thing, a knee up the middle, something like that to sort of, make him respect him. But I think as soon as Asu gets the legs, gets him down, it's kind of over here. So I like the real upside on Asu. I do want to note that Asu was a favorite in every single fight of the UFC until the Manel Kape fight. He was a 2-1, like a plus 180 underdog, and now we're getting him as a dog to Jose Ochoa, who's coming in on short notice for this fight, right? So don't forget, he was supposed to fight somebody. I think I can't remember. He was supposed to fight somebody else, but Ochoa's coming in on short notice. He wasn't really training for this fight. I don't know what he had set up, but Asu's on a full camp at this point. He's healthy. He's good to go. I think he just grapples him. I think you're right in terms of a decision. Wouldn't surprise me if he found a rear naked choke sort of thing, but Asu by decision is my pick. I'm taking the money line just in case, and I think I like this spot a lot here.
Damn. All right, you're making way too much sense to me, Art, and buyer be warned. Because if I end up jumping in with you, you only have yourself to blame. If you convinced me and I curse you and Asu gets flying knee KO'd in round 1, you've only got yourself to blame. Like, full disclosure.
I said at the beginning of the show, Clint, you can ride me. I'm being hot. I'm like up 300 units for the year. So, ride with me. I'll get you back into the win column. So not a worry. I welcome it.
I gotta tell you, if the dude up 300 units, just like if he comes on my show and then crashes and burned, like we got to start talking about this curse thing.
The worst night ever. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to like call in a shaman or something. Like if I can somehow manage to put my bad juju on Art of all people this year, this is gonna like I'm gonna have to call the Pentagon. This is gonna be like a serious issue that we need to look into at that point. All right, man, you convinced me. I lean Asu already. Asu's one of the guys we've talked about it. He's one of the guys I got circled. I like Asu. I think he's a good prospect. So, all All right. All right. I'll trust you. I'm in. Let's go. Let's do it. Asu Almabayev it is. Next up, you guys. Shara Bullet Magomedov takes on Marc-André Barriault, the power bar himself. I hate this fight. And Art, not because of this fight, but because of last fight. Much like how I waited to fade Kennedy Nzechukwu, I waited to fade Shara Bullet. Both those guys, I'm sitting there and going, at heavyweight, I don't believe in Kennedy. And Shara, he's a fraud waiting to happen. It's coming, but not this time. Not this time. So I pass. Both of them get fraud checked. I'm like, fuck. I wanted to cash in, and I wanted to cash in big. And I made the mistake of thinking this wasn't the fight. I kind of can't believe that this guy got torched so badly against a 170 pounder. Like they literally was that
by Michael Page?
Yeah, by Michael Page. Like I know Venom Page is good, but it's like they brought him up a weight class in enemy territory. Like I was like, that's UFC script all over it. You know what I mean? Like they were like, we're bringing Page in to put a name on this man's resume. Someone who refuses to grapple. He's only going to strike. If it's close, we'll give it to Shara. Like that was the script. That was the game plan. And Page whooped his ass. So it's like, I thought he was a fraud. I didn't know he was that big of a fraud. So that was a bad L to take. And here he is, a -600 favorite again. Why, you ask? Because they're bringing in Marc-André Barriault from Canada. Marc-André Barriault just got a 3-fight loss streak. Sorry about that. 3-fight loss streak. He snapped it with a big win in his last fight over Bruno Silva. The guy who should never have been cleared to get in the cage. The guy who the UFC knew was done. Dunzo. Done. And he still got in there against one of the biggest cardio melters we have seen in the UFC. Marc-André Barriault only knows one thing, and that's forward, man. He steps on the gas. He never takes his foot off of it. He will bully you against the fence. He will flurry up against the cage. He will drag you to the mat. He will beat you up once you get down there. Like, that's all this guy does. But he walks face first into punches. My guy Dustin Stolfus knocked this man out, which if that tells you anything, like, you should be terrified if my boy Dustin can knock you out. I mean, like, he caught the button. Okay, lucky shot maybe. But we're seeing the durability get chipped away for Marc-André Barriault. Now, Shara Bullet, this guy can't grapple. He can't grapple. We figured that out very, very early in his UFC career. And they've done everything they can to bring in people who are not going to grapple with him. Keep him looking good. Make sure he can hit double spinning back fists on fools in the UFC. Highlight reel after highlight reel. They just want this guy showing out on the big screen, man. That's what it's all about. So now they're finally giving him a grapple. And of course, my first instinct is we just saw 2 +500 underdogs last week hit, right? Like, why not Marc-André Barriault? Why not Marc-André this week? Well, it feels like Alex Pereira to me. Like they've bought Shara enough time to get just enough grappling defense, right? Like I think they're banking on the fact that Shara's improved, and they're banking on the fact that Marc-André Barriault's a little old. They're banking on the fact that Marc-André Barriault is a little long in the tooth. He's supposed to get put on a highlight reel here this week, man. That's the whole point of this fight. Marc-André gets a win over a guy who shouldn't be in the game anymore. Not even shouldn't be in the UFC anymore. Should be retired. That's who Marc-André Barriault beats. And then he gets promoted to Shara Bullet. that's the move. Now, Shara could be a big enough fraud that Marc-André just rinses him. That is, don't get it twisted. That is entirely on the table right now. Shara is such a big fraud that he gets taken out by Canadian Marc-André Barriault in this fight. And frankly, I'd love to see it. I want to see it. This is dog or pass to the max. I can't do anything with -600 Shara. Art, I only make the same mistake once, okay? At least for like a 365-day calendar, right? Like if I make the same mistake, it's because I forgot I made it in the first place. So I just laid chalk on Kevin Holland. I should no bet list, right? Like never again. Never again. But so I've learned my lesson. I'm not laying chalk. I'm not parlaying Shara Bullet Magomedov. You can't play this man at 600. Please don't. So it's dog or pass from a betting perspective. But I also have so many questions about the current condition of Marc-André Barriault that I've got a real hard time talking myself into the dog shot. What do you think of this fight, Ark? What are you doing here?
All right, well, I'll do my best then. All right, so starting with the Shara versus Michael Page, I'll just tell you that I was huge on Michael Page, and
I'm sure you are.
It was just okay. So styles make fights. It's not about the location really, and it's not about the setup. Michael Page is very hard to deal with. He has like an extensive kickboxing background, very in and out, moving, very hard to hit, and that's his game plan. Like he struggles against grapplers as well, and now he's getting a striker that he can strike with. I figured it was going to be Page all day, sort of thing. So he squeaked that one out. He got the win there. And then on the Barriault side, I want to say like, okay, so he knocks out Bruno Silva in the clinch with elbows, and that's his game. Marc-André Barriault is all strikes in the clinch. 25% of his significant strikes that landed are in the clinch. So he's not really a distance striker. He's not going to stand at range there with Shara, let Shara kick him, sort of thing, right? So he lands the Silva, and yeah, like he lands the elbow on Silva and puts him out. He should have been out, sort of thing. He should have retired, right? So I do want to put some context in terms of the Dustin Stoltzfus one, right? So he's grappling Stoltzfus. He gets him down to the ground. Stoltzfus is a decent counter grappler, and he gets back to the feet. And again, Marc-André Barriault wants to be in the pocket. He wants to be in the pocket and trade and all that stuff, right? And Stoltzfus obliges, and they just start swinging. They start swinging in the pocket, and Stoltzfus catches them clean with a clean right hand. He put everything into it. He was sitting down, and they were just doing Max Holloway at the tail end of
Yes,
round
sir.
number one. He got caught. It's a bad look. Yeah, okay, it's Solstice, but given the context in which they were doing it, I understand he got knocked out cold.
That's
Before
fair.
that, he got knocked out by Joe Pfeiffer, who apparently hits harder than Francis Ngannou. He broke the punching machine, sort of
Are
thing.
we
So,
are we still doing that?
yeah, so
Are we still buying that?
I'm just putting context in terms of the you're getting them on back-to-back knockout losses. I was on Barriault against Silva because of that. Because again, I look for these buy low spots and say maybe he's not completely washed, right? Where I take a
Mhm.
look at the context in which they were knocked out, just like in the Krylov fight. Where the Krylov fight, you're getting dropped by jabs, whereas Barriault's getting knocked down by like just a insane flurry and Joe Pfeiffer, right? So I think that his durability is still somewhat there. I think that again, it's styles makes fights, and again, okay, so Sharia. He's going to be at range. He's going to throw a lot of kicks, right? He has like these spinning kicks, flashy kicks. He uses kicks as jabs and stuff, but he doesn't do a good job in terms of his footwork circling off the cage, right? And I look back and I watched the Shara versus Petrosian fight, right? If you look in that in round number one, Petrosian's able to just walk him down, put him against the fence, and Shara's sort of like stuck there. He doesn't really know what to do. If that was Barriault in that case, Barriault's clinching him. He's pushing him up against the fence. He's working these elbows. He's working this dirty boxing sort of thing. And he's making Shara work sort of thing, right? And Shara's not really that physical, right? He wants to be out of range. He wants to kick you. He wants to stick and move sort of thing. So I see this being a different type of matchup. Just like Shara hasn't fought Michael Page type style before, he hasn't fought a Barriault type of fighter where Barriault's not going to give him the kicking range and the striking range that he wants. He's not going to sit there and just get picked apart for three rounds. Like you said, Barriault's always on the front foot. He's always pressuring you. 25% of the significant strikes landed are in the clinch. If Barriault gets his way, he's holding on to him, pushing him up against the fence, working the dirty boxing, working these elbows over the top. It's going to look real dirty. And Chart doesn't have experience with that type of fight. Now, if Barriault can do this for round one, into round two, into round three, what does Shara look like into rounds 2 and 3? He's already slowing down as it is in his type of fights. If he has to fight the Barriault type of fight where he's getting pushed up on the cage, those can be exhausting trying to move off, right? He's not the most physical. He doesn't know how to dig the underhooks off the fence, circle off, things like that. He can't get stuck on the cage. So I kind of think Barriault's a live dog, and like you said, it's never Shara at minus 600. It's almost never. Just with his skill set, his one eye. For those that don't know, he's not allowed to fight in the States because he has one eye, and he can only fight in Abu Dhabi. So we always see him on these type of cards. They do try to set him up with like some good fights and always winnable fights. It's always guys that never have any grappling upside. And you talked about that, right? Marc-André Barriault has 2 takedowns in his UFC career, which is 25 fights. Marc-André Barriault's not looking for a takedown here. Even though there's a clear path to victory against Shara, he's not looking for a takedown. He's looking for a clinch. He's looking to push you up against the fence, work his dirty boxing, and just tire you out. And to rounds 2 and 3, he's going to rinse and repeat. I could see Marc-André Barriault finishing him if it gets to the later rounds. I think if it goes to decision, it could be pretty close. I know Shara gets all the hometown judging, things like that. But for Barriault to win, he has to make it a very dirty fight. He has to be in there in your face, dirty boxing, grinding. Shara has to fight a clean, perfect fight on the outside, and Marc-André Barriault won't give him that type of fight. He doesn't have the takedowns to relieve the pressure of Barriault either. If Barriault's just on the front foot, sometimes guys level change on him, try to get the takedown because they don't like the forward pressure. But in this case, all he can really do is back up and get space, but he doesn't even do that well. He doesn't circle off well. He backs himself up to the defense. So I see a clear path for Barriault here. It's going to be a sneaky spot because not a lot of people see that. But I like the play on him. I haven't played it yet. I'm waiting to see where the line goes. I think that Shara is going to be a big parlay piece, and then I'll come in on the dog side or even live betting it if Barriault can get the fight off. Not like Shara has one punch KO power either, so I'm not worried about Barriault going to sleep early. I think he can drag it into the late rounds, and then again, he's very live when it gets there.
Okay, Art, I love it. I love it, man. You can get Marc-André Barriault as high as plus 500 out there right now. And like I said, I'm a believer in the dogs right now, man. After what just happened this past week, you can talk me into the big dogs right now. Can you believe only one favorite on the main card last week? One, Max Holloway as a coin flip, like minus 125 in 5 straight fights. That's the one that got home. So like, yeah, man. I mean, the dogs might be making a comeback here. Marc-André Barriault, dog or pass. Again, maybe the spread. Because he can absolutely win one round as long as he doesn't get iced. Now, I know Marc-André can get caught. He can get hurt. He can get knocked out. So you may not make it to the judges' scorecards on the spread, but I think the spread's probably safer than the money line in Abu Dhabi, just saying, because of the way sometimes things happen on the judges' scorecards over there. Real quickly, I want to shout out my boy, Razor Sharp Picks. Razor, thank you for the dono, my friend. I very much appreciate you being here tonight. Thank you so much for hanging out in the chat. And of course, as you guys know, I've talked about it time and time again. Razor is my guy. If I have any money left in my gambling account, it's because of this man right here, him and my boy Keg. He is on an unreal run betting on the MLB. And I take off baseball. You know, first off, I suck at baseball. But secondly, I don't bet on baseball, like especially around the All-Star break. Hasn't stopped Razor, hasn't slowed him down. He is crushing. So if you want somebody to tail, he does charge. But if there's anybody I would ever vouch for, it's a guy like Razor. Frankly, right now, I am sweating the A's because that's our big play today, Razor. We're sweating out these A's right now. It's tied 1-1. So come on, boys, bring us home. But I appreciate you, man. Thank you for being here. Thank you for hanging out. And for those of you who don't know, you should know. Check out Razor Sharp Picks for sure. And my guy Porco in the chat again with the 1999. What's up, Porco? Thank you very much. His dog, pig, what's the difference? That's what's up, buddy. He's calling for the big pig here with Marc-André Barriault coming through on Saturday. You love to see it. Maybe we got to start calling pigs from now on. All right, guys, co-main event, 2 hours in. Artsy, Mr. Electrocute, breaking it down, talking me into gambling, tailing him, cursing him all week. That's what's up. Give him a follow. Next up, you got Petr Yan taking on Marcus McGhee. One of the weirdest fights we've ever had booked. I get it. It's a now or never for Marcus McGhee. This is an old man. He's got one shot. Like he got to the UFC late. He's proven his mettle. He's fighting out of a good camp. He's at the MMA lab. He's very much in shape. He's very skilled. He's very talented. So it's now or never. If you're ever going to be a contender, if you're ever going to crack yourself into the upper echelon of the weight class, this is it. Got to go. So I get why they made this fight. Petr Yan was trying to set up a fight with my boy Umar. Umar's hand has not healed to the point that he was able to accept the fight at this point in time, unfortunately. So we get Marcus McGhee instead. Petr Yan, 18-5, 32 years old. I mean, he's just trying to stay active. He wants his shot, right? He wants his crack at the belt again. He wants his gold back. He wants to get up there and fight a guy like Merab again. He's on a 2-fight win streak over Davison Figueiredo and Song Yadong. I like Yan. I like Yan a lot. Man, I think Yan on any given day, good day, bad day, doesn't matter. He's like number 3 in the division, right? The problem is he fights so close. He doesn't really pull away from people. You know, you look at the losses where they were able to kind of wrestle the belt away from him. Aljamain Sterling and Sugar Sean O'Malley, both them by split. Like he takes off the first couple rounds in a 5-round title fight. And then he's so good down the stretch, rounds 3, 4, and 5. I remember the glory days of cashing the round 5 TKO prop over Jose Aldo. Like you get someone a little older, you get someone who slowed down a little bit. Those are the guys he'll just take out in the later rounds of a fight. But in a 15-minute fight, you remember they robbed him of that split against Sean O'Malley, trying to get Sean to the title because he lets them, because he fights so closely. He gives up round 1, He turns up in round 2. He wins round 3. That's every Jan fight you've ever seen that's 15 minutes long. He'll win round 3 for certain. It all comes down to those first couple of rounds. Marcus McGhee, I'm a little concerned sometimes that he's got mid to low tier cardio, right? He looks like he gets tired. He's very, very, very well muscled, pretty big for the weight class. 10 and 135 years old, so he's a little bit long in the tooth. He will be 1 inch taller here. He's going to have a 2 inch reach advantage here. And frankly, he's a guy that looks like he's struggling right up until he wins. Like the Gaston Bolanos knockout in round 2. He looked like he was slowing down a little bit, man. He looked like he was getting a little tired in that fight. And then he lands a big power shot to flip the tables. Let's look at his run, though. Journey Newsom, love the guy. Arizona boy, not cutting it. JP Buys, I took the shot, man. I'm not going to lie. I took the shot. Not good. No chin. Not going to cut it. Gaston, 8 and 5. Not great. I don't know if he's been cut for certain or not yet, but if he hasn't been, it's close. And then he did get the decision win over Jonathan Martinez. That's the big one. That is the big one. But it's like 3 frauds and 1 dude that's in the middle. And now here he is fighting Petr Yan. So again, I get that it's now or never for this guy. But I don't know that he belongs in the top 5. I don't know that he is a contender. So for me, it's got to be Petr Yan unless otherwise determined. Like, you've got to prove it to me at this level. So I think it's Yan. But at minus 375, just the way Petr Yan fights, this thing could be a split decision so easily, man. I think this thing goes the distance. I think it's close. I think it's gritty. It's dirty. It's nasty. Spread. I've said it like 5 times on this card, man. Look for the spread on Marcus McGhee because Petr Yan will give him round 1 on a silver platter. That's the way I'm looking at this fight. What about you, Art? What are you doing?
I'm pretty much in agreement here. And again, you got to remember, this is a 3-round fight. So, giving a round away is almost a death sentence here, right? And, Marcus McGhee touched on it. The strength of competition isn't great, right? But he's looking impressive, I think, in those fights, right? Bolanos was supposed to be like a technical striker. I thought he out-techniqued him, and he got him with forward pressure and volume, froze him, and then finished him, sort of thing. I think there was a wrestler in there, Journey Newsom, tried to get him taken down, defended all 6 takedowns, applied the pressure. Journey Newsom eventually pulling guard in that fight, and Marcus McGhee was able to keep top pressure and keep top control, so didn't give up the control when he got it, sort of thing. So I do see glimpses of things I like from Marcus McGhee. One of the things, his calling card is sort of like forward pressure in your face and just a hell of volume, right? So he's throwing a lot of volume, kicks, strikes, punches. He's in your face. He's moving around, a lot of volume, right? The Jonathan Martinez fight, he did look, it got a little dicey there into round 3 with the leg kicks, but Jonathan Martinez does that to everybody. He has like 9 KO wins from leg kicks and stuff. That's his go-to weapon. But Jonathan Martinez did take rounds 1 and 2 off, let Marcus McGhee sort of point him and win those rounds before losing round 3. So it's tough to sort of gauge where McGhee is at, and I think this is an interesting fight. Petr Yan he's for me, he's always been top 5. He's just always shown just immense potential, great takedown defense, good boxing. His striking was world class, sort of thing. So I like everything there is to like about Petr Yan. There's nothing to not like other than he starts slow and he can give away rounds and stuff, right? So that's sort of how I see McGhee winning this fight, like a close split decision. And I will note one thing in terms of the tape that I saw. I go back and I watch the Petr Yan fight, and the reason that he's having a lot of these close fights is that he doesn't really counter. Okay, so what that means is the opponents come forward, they shoot their strikes, and he keeps the high guard, he bounces off the guard, and then you're done. Pull the guard down and come back and forward and fire my own, sort of thing, right? So you can sort of freeze him or make him not throw volume by throwing your own type of volume. Okay, so if you get into his face, you punch him, he throws high guard, he sits there until you're done, he comes forward, right? So that type of style from Marcus McGhee could freeze Petr Yan from getting his own game off. He's trying to reset, he's trying to get into the distance, and then Marcus McGhee comes back to the forward and he has to put the guard up back again, right? Comes forward and Marcus McGhee just continues to put him on the back foot. I think Petr Yan's better technical striker. I think he's gonna, his boxing defense, his takedowns, even like all that stuff is great. I just think that little nuance of just making him shell up, coming forward, it's sort of you go then I go, you go then I go, and it creates these very close fights where it's like who's really landing on each other. It's really hard to distinguish, if you're not hitting the guy clean, it's sort of 50-50. So that's why he's losing a lot of these close split decisions, is that he's not making people pay. He's not countering them. He's just shelling up and then he's coming back forward, right? So McGhee putting on that volume could make him do that, right? So, I think if anybody's going to get a takedown, it's Petr Yan, but he doesn't really look for them too often. He does use this thing, I call it a Machida trip, where he jumps into the opposite stance, and he sort of pushes you. You're not sort of expecting it. It's more of a trip takedown. And I think if he gets on top, he probably wins minutes on top, Petr Yan. So he has all the grappling upside. I think the striking, he's better technically, better boxer sort of thing. I think Petr Yan wins a decision, but it wouldn't surprise me if Marcus McGhee pulls it out. He makes it dirty. He makes it a very close fight. And Abu Dhabi, it's a little bit questionable how the judges are looking, but I'm not jumping out of my seat to lay the juice on Petr Yan. I do think he wins. I do pick him. I get but the price tag's a little bit too high. I don't know if I'm going to get to McGee's side yet, but I could see a path and how he gets there, and he could make it, interesting if it goes to decision there.
Okay. All right. I get it. I like it. Makes a ton of sense to me. Don't know if I'm going to get to pull on the trigger on that one, though. I got to be careful this week. Let's freaking go, guys. Main event time. We have got Rob the Reaper Whittaker taking on Reinier D. Ritter. I love this fight. I love this fight so much, man. I love the rise of Reinier D. Ritter. It's been really fun and fantastic to watch. And I've said it before, right? Terrible year for me, but one of the few things I've gotten right has been being on the right side of Reinier D. Ritter. Robert Whittaker, a guy you've absolutely always got to respect. Championship caliber through and through. 26-8. He's 34 years old. He is 47 in fight years, though. Like, he's one of these guys that I'm surprised he's still around, man. He's a Max Holloway type. Like, I have no idea how he's still fighting with the kind of wars he's been in, with the Yoel Romero wars, just like taking years off of his life, with the Paulo Costa fight, with the Dricus du Plessis loss. Like, it's real crazy that he's still going, but he's so class that he can just make sure that if you're not quite on his level, he will show you the door. Like, that's the whole thing with Robert Whittaker. It's always been something he's been capable of. And unless you're the elite of the elite, you're not going to beat this guy. He's well-rounded. He's got that Reaper combo that he ends with the head kick that keeps people off. He's got power in his hands. He can wrestle. He's very physical. That's kind of the cheat code, I think, with Robert Whittaker, is the guys that beat him bully him. The only guy that's really been able to like out finesse him was Israel Adesanya. Like, he's made up for the lack of, and I'm not even saying he's not technical, but like, he's so technical, covers it with the physicality. You've got to be able to break this man. And the only guys who have been able to do that are Dricus du Plessis and Hamzat. Like, the one person who had such a skill advantage on him was Israel Adesanya. It's crazy. Reinier D. Ritter on the flip side of this thing, 20-2, 34 years old. I'm going to say it again. Monster grappler. Like, this guy is just unreal talented when it comes to his grappling game. Fraud check Bo Nickel so hard in his last fight. You love to see it, right? Like, that's another one where, again, I chickened out. I said that you don't want to lay that kind of a price tag on Bo in that fight and disrespect a guy like Reinier. But it didn't quite get to the window with him. I got to the window against Kevin Holland. Like, that was fun. That was a good night. You all learned your lesson on Kevin Holland the night that I faded him. Like, I bet Reinier D. Ritter that night and rode off to the bank. That was fun. He went to war with Gerald Meerschaert in their fight, ended up submitting Gerald deep in the rounds, which not many people sub Gerald, not many people out cardio Gerald. Like, that's crazy impressive that he was able to pull that off. So I'm fully expecting Rob Whittaker to have a decent striking advantage here in this fight, but I think the size and the physicality probably goes to Reinier D. Ritter. And frankly, man, that kind of leads me to think this is yet another opportunity where we might be able to go to war with the dog. I know Reinier D. Ritter is coming from like another organization. Like, he's coming from one. He's still the new kid on the block, but I feel like the time is catching up with Rob. He's coming off of the bad loss to Hamzat Chimaev in round one. So who knows where he's at physically, mentally coming into this fight. I know he's always a tough out. I know he's always going to give it his best, but if there's anybody else in this weight class that can bully Rob Whittaker, especially grappling the way Hamzat and Dricus have, it's Reinier D. Ritter. So if he can get to the body, if he can get those takedowns, if he can make this thing dirty, I think he can wear Rob out. And I think he can do similar to what Dricus and Hamzat did. And I can see him getting on top. This is dog or pass for me, man. I'm very, very tempted to go to war here with Reinier D. Ritter one more time. Talk to me, Art. What do you see in this main event? What do you like?
I'll tell you that I think that this fight is an absolute trap. This is pros versus Joes type fight all day long, and you're getting a tale of two tapes. You're getting a good buy low spot, and let's start with the Rainier de Ritter side sort of thing. And I agree, he's big, right? He used to fight at heavyweight. He went down to light heavyweight. Now he's fighting at middleweight. Very good for the division. Very high level grappler, but I think he sort of had a sneaky way to get on this 3-fight win streak. And let me talk it through. Okay, so he starts in the UFC, his first fight, Gerald Meerschaert, right? Nobody takes down Gerald Meerschaert because everybody has an advantage on the feet against Gerald Meerschaert. Meerschaert has zero takedown defense because he's a BJJ guy. In comes Rainier de Ritter, big guy. He easily gets those takedowns on GM3. But again, like nobody really tries to, right? So I don't really think it's that impressive. GM3 actually, has moments on the feet where he's out striking De Ritter on the feet. De Ritter caught him, I think, at the end of round 1 or round 2. But other than that, it was GM3 winning the striking battle. And how often do you see GM3 winning a striking battle against anybody? His bread and butter is getting the fight down to the ground, controlling you, finishing late, all that stuff, right? So it's sort of a great matchup for De Ritter because he can get the takedowns. He's not afraid of the submission. He has the size, and he sort of wears on him. Round 3, it looks horrible. He ends up submitting him by arm triangle choke. That fight was being pretty close, though, against two. I don't even think GM3 is that good, but again, a good matchup for De Ritter there. Then he fights Kevin Holland, but this was at Kevin Holland at middleweight. Kevin Holland at middleweight, at welterweight, has always struggled with big grapplers. He that's his kryptonite. He can't get off bottom, and right away De Ritter grabs a hold of him. He can't get him off there, and that's why Kevin Holland's back at welterweight, because he can't deal with the size and pressure. De Ritter finds that submission, same sort of thing, right? It's not that impressive when you think about how small Kevin Holland is. He shouldn't have been fighting at that weight class. Then we get Bo Nickel. You talked about fraud checked on Bo Nickel. Bo Nickel, a high level collegiate wrestler, all that stuff, but his BJJ isn't the greatest, right? He has the wrestling. He can take down anybody he wants to, but now against a pure BJJ guy, why are you want to take him down and get him back into his world? So Bo Nickel doesn't have the wrestling to rely on anymore, and now has to strike. Bo Nickel as a striker is not very good at all. He spams overhands. He doesn't put together combos. His defense isn't that good, and he doesn't have that much cardio. So Rainier de Ritter doesn't have to worry about the takedowns coming his way. He can sort of march him down, doesn't have to worry about the power coming back. And he just makes Bo Nickel fold because of the pressure. Bo Nickel doesn't get his game plan off where he can't grapple. You can see the game plan was to try to strike with him, sort of thing. He's just not that good. So all 3 of those fights, I feel like it was a good matchup for De Ritter here. But against a Robert Whittaker, the only thing, like, if you talk about Robert Whittaker, one of the things that you say for him is his elite takedown defense and his control, right? So I go over to the Robert Whittaker side. Who's really controlled Robert Whittaker? And you talked about grappling him, being on top of him, controlling him. There are only 3 fights in Robert Whittaker's career where he gave up over 90 seconds of control. 2 of them were to Yoel Romero at Yoel Romero's prime. And that was a 5-round fight. He gave up 5 minutes control in both of those Yoel Romero fights. Even Yoel, who's an Olympic wrestler, couldn't hold him down, or Olympic whatever, couldn't hold him down. And then the only other time was in that last fight against Chimaev. And even that fight, you go back and watch it, the scrambles there, Robert Whittaker's making Chimaev scramble. He's making him work. Chimaev eventually gets onto the back. You can see, Chimaev puts in the choke. It's not even under the chin, it's on the chin. And Robert Whittaker has this thing with the jaw where it broke his front teeth. It seems to be like a recurring thing with him for me, Robert Whittaker didn't even get submitted there. He just broke something, he instant tap, and he lost the fight. They ruled it a face crank, right? So I'm not even convinced that Robert Whittaker would have gotten submitted in round 1. And then what does he look like into rounds 2 and 3, right? So if you're telling me that Robert Whittaker needs to get controlled to lose, on the feet, Robert Whittaker, it's going to be Whittaker all day, right? And he's going to outpoint him, outstrike him all day on the feet. Rainier de Ritter is going to have to get the fight down to the ground, control him, and we haven't seen it in any of the career outside of those 3 high-level guys. I don't think Rainier de Ritter is that good. He has the size, yes, but his takedowns are not single legs, double legs. They're all body locks. What you do normally is you go for the normally you want to get double underhooks so you can control the position. Rainier de Ritter is like a Mackenzie Dern. He goes double overhooks so you can't run away. And then he tries this like Umagachi roll where he's trying to like hip toss your way in, but he can't get it. And when he doesn't get it, he looks completely lost. If you go back and watch his ONE FC fight, he has 2 losses against Anatolian Malikin. Both of those fights, he couldn't get any of the takedowns off. That second fight in the ONE FC, he quit. he literally quit. He couldn't get the takedowns on Malikin. He was flopping. Malikin was keeping space, getting back up to his feet. The Ritter in the third round, he's completely gassed. He shot for a takedown, couldn't get the takedown. Herb Dean says, "Get up," and he's like, "I'm good. I don't need to get up." And he literally lost the fight because he quit. So if he cannot get this grappling off and he cannot get the grappling going, he's going to look completely gassed and looks going to go completely different into rounds 3, 4, and 5, in which Whittaker will take over. Whittaker's never had any cardio problems. He's never had guys really control him or outstrike him on the feet. So I see a clear path for Robert Whittaker. It might get dicey in round 1, and you might get Robert Whittaker plus 200 after round 1 if he does get controlled. I don't think he's going to get controlled and submitted here like everybody thinks he is. I know it's a tale of two tapes. I think it's a great buy low spot on Whittaker, and I'm at least 2-3 units deep on Whittaker on the money line. I see the money lines coming in a little bit, so I may end up playing it a little bit more. But these are the spots that I really like, where the public perception was on one side, thinking it'll go one way, and I can see it completely different. It's just stylistic matchups that are different.
Wow. Okay. So man, this is gonna be tough, you guys. This is gonna be tough. I've got to decide if I want to fade myself or not, because I've been saving this one, man. That was the Link Memorial Dog of the Week. I wanted to go hard here on Reinier the Ritter, but you're making way too much sense. And frankly, you guys can vouch for this. Anybody that's been watching the show for any given amount of time, I have always said that if it's not a champion, it's Rob Whittaker, right? Like, this guy is the ultimate gatekeeper. He's the ultimate number 2 in the weight class. Like, if you don't literally have gold wrapped around your waist, Rob Whittaker is beating your ass. So, like, you're just making way too much sense for me here in this kind of a spot. The line seems to be playing kind of tug of war, man. We got plus 125, plus 130 on Reinier the Ritter. It's bouncing back and forth between those numbers. Rob Whittaker minus 140, minus 150, somewhere in that ballpark. Woof. I gotta decide if I want to fade myself or not here this week on this one. You know what? I might just hands off this one, you guys. Like, I might just be like, all right, like, Art convinced me, and I'm just gonna let it sail on down the river, because if I'm that wrong on Reinier the Ritter, then I just need to not have my money involved. So slight disagreement here for us to end the show. Art, my guy, thank you very much for coming on tonight. Thank you for spending 2 whole hours with me breaking down this card. Appreciate the absolute hell out of you, my man, and I apologize in advance if I jinx the shit out of you. If you've got any more content coming up, my guy, if you've got anywhere that people can support you, find more of what you do, the floor is yours. Shout them out. Let them know where they can find you.
Thank you, sir, again for having me. I really appreciate it. I like talking fights and stuff, and I could go on for days.
Always.
You can tell from my breakdowns, I go deep into the tape study and stuff. And you know what, guys, I'm up 300 units for the year, and that's after being up 100 units last year. I'm just on an absolute tear, and it's not by fluke. You can tell from the breakdowns. I put in the work. I do the tape study. I look at all the tendencies. I try to find the edges, and it's not even that. We run here at Fighting Stats. We have exclusive UFC stats that nobody else has. We work around the clock. We collect our own stats. It gives us information that nobody else has, and it gives us a huge edge over the sports books. So I can tell you how many times he throws a jab, how many times he switches to southpaw, or what leg he's kicking with, he's on the ground, what position he's in on the ground, half guard, full guard. We have all of that information, and when you know what to look for in the story, it really helps drive the point home and say, he's not really getting to this position because we have all the stats to back it up. So given the tape study, given the research, given the stats, it's undeniable where the success is coming from. Up 300 units is somewhat unheard of. It's the best year by far for me.
It's insane.
I keep on expecting regression to come back, but I keep going. I think I'm like 18-5 in profitable weeks, just week after week, in terms of, like, last week was a minefield in terms of everybody getting smoked. I was up 23 units last week, or 27 units last week, betting on it. So you can tell from the breakdowns, I do my homework. I do everything there. You can join us, support us at patreon.com/fighting-stats. We provide the stats there. We show our bets, our breakdowns, all that stuff. Everybody that's joined has said wonders about it. So keep that in mind. And I'm always open. DM me with some questions or whatnot. Always open to discussing fights. And I just wanted to say, like, it's not just like, I do a lot of prop bets. I do a lot of significant strikes and takedowns, things like that. It's because I do the tape study. I know sort of how the fight's going to play out, and Marc-André Barriault's not going to get a takedown, so I'll take his under, sort of thing. But I hit on everything. I hit props. I'm up 55,000. Long shot parlays 20,000. Same game parlays 50,000. Props 10,000. Straight bets 13,000. It's profit across the board no matter what I play, and it's just finding value. So it's not all about always just about money line and finding you can find props, creative things like that to get around it. So anything that makes me money, I'm there. I'm at a point, guys, where I am struggling to find sports books that will take my action. I cannot find anywhere that I can get decent amount of money down. So yeah, if I can find a way to do that, I'd be absolutely killing it even more. But again, I'm open. DM me, let me know. You can support me, fightingstats.com. On YouTube, Instagram, we try to do some live streams. I might be live streaming this weekend, watching the card and live betting. So I watch the card, give you play-by-play. I'll tell you what to bet, when to bet on it, and we just absolutely print money live betting. So join us, let us know what you think, and go from there.
Love it. Absolutely love it. One of the best in the game, you guys, and a nice guy to boot. And you guys know that means the world to me is when you get in this gambling business, there's sticky hands, gross thing, people that you don't want to deal with. Art ain't one of those. Art's one of the good ones. So appreciate you coming on, man. Appreciate your time. Appreciate your information. Thank you so much again for being here. You guys make sure you're checking out the link below. Check out Spectation Sports. Please get signed up over there. Use my code. And let's get back on track this week. You listen to Art more than me, obviously. Thank you all so much for the love and support. Keep an eye out. Let's see who I end up locking in this week and who gets the Clint curse going forward. So come on back for the undefeated post weigh-in show, the total takedown as well. And appreciate you guys being here. Let's freaking roll.